Self-defense rests, let's lay it down. Gonna dig deep, wave that verdict round. The defense rests, time to analyze. With the evidence, we'll unveil the crime. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
Good morning, beautiful people. I know, I'm late. I couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. How are we all? It's lovely to see you all here. Good morning, Christine. Please don't stress, my love. Everything will work out in the wash, I promise. Good morning, Miss Anna. Welcome. Good fabulous Friday, fine friends. That's better than my one. What was it? Welcome to Feckin' Friday. Good morning, Miss Tricia. I'm missing a lovely Elizabeth. She's disappeared. Oh, it was so much fun. It was so funny. I've sent her the email every day, so I don't know what. She must be busy. That's fair enough. Oh, damn it. Yeah. Yeah. You're missing out in chat. Oh, we can catch you up. It's all good. Yes. Well, you know what we should do? We should have a wrench wench stream and just stream that bit of the trial. Just have a private stream between us. That would be funny. Man who liked to excuse me loved. Oh my God. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think? Yep. And you thought Tyler Daisy was crazy. He takes the cake, this one, doesn't he? Pina coladas. Yes, there were quite a number of excrement references yesterday. It was hysterical. And then he decided to tell us that one of his biggest YouTube influencers, and so we had to look this person up, and he was just cray. Yep. It was hysterical. But it was a lot of fun, so it was good. Now, today, what do we have? We have day 3, obviously. We have the lead detective, Tina Cruz, which we've heard a bit about. Then we have stakes exhibit, Chloe Driver in hospital, the Miranda rights and written statements. Oh, then we have detective calls Benyamin Z. He must take the stand today. Oh God, he's going to be just as bad as the other one. All right, well, go and put your panty liners on, ladies, because we're going to need it. Double them up. And to top it off, we have the investigator, Deanna Jarrett of the County District Attorney's Office, and then the state rests. So, panty liners it is. All right, let's kick it off, shall we? Day 3. Tina Cruz. It doesn't seem like she's actually on the stand for a great deal of time. There's a fair bit of hospital footage, I believe. And then maybe half an hour, I think, of, oh, is that all? Of Benyamin, the prophet, Z. Hmm? Hmm. I'm sure we can amuse ourselves there. All right, let's get into it, shall we? Oh, I'm a little circle. Hello. Let's fix that. Which one shall I go? The round window, that'll do. Okie dokie. And play. Hello, Judge. How you doing? Let me know if you can hear it all. Captions are gone again. There we go. Steady, titsy tiny, isn't she?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will
Little
be the
pocket
truth, the whole
rocket.
truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Can you state your name and spell it?
Check the boost.
Taina Cruz, Taina. Last name is Cruz as in zebra.
And how are you
Z as in
employed?
zebra.
I am a sergeant with the Criminal Investigations Division at the City of Canton Police Department.
And what does that mean?
I'm
So
the
I
boss.
investigate crimes that happen within our jurisdiction.
Good
And can you tell the jury a little bit
morning,
about your
Yeah.
background?
We've just this second begun. This is Detective Cruz from the Canton PD. She led the investigation, and we're starting out with a lot today. Okay, on the hotness scale of Udahef hotness, where does she rank? On a scale from 0 to 10, I would maybe 6. Yeah, 6-ish.
And education in terms of what led up to your role as an investigator?
Sure. I was mandated in September of 2017.
What does that mean?
Mandated is when you become a law enforcement officer. And I spent 2 years on the road.
She's did you see her walk in? She's only titsy tiny. She's only like 4 foot nothing, so she's a little pocket rocket.
As a patrol officer. Directly after that, I applied to the Criminal Investigations Division as a detective. And in August of 2019 is when I became a detective. And this is in December of 2020 is when I actually got this case.
Okay. And can you tell the jury a little bit about the Canton Police Department? How many investigators do you have?
Sure. Currently, we have 5 investigators and 2 supervisors, and then we have a lieutenant over the division.
Okay. And where do you fall in that?
So I am one of the supervisors.
Okay.
And
Yes.
with regard to how the division of cases works, do the investigators at the Canton Police Department specialize, or do you all handle investigations of all types?
So we do handle investigations of all types. Generally, you'll know the strengths and weaknesses of each detective. In this particular incident, I am specialized in crimes against persons.
Okay. And
As opposed to
back in December of 2020, what
crimes
was your
against
position?
non-persons?
I was a detective.
All right. And when did you become aware of sort of the incident that led us to here today? Tell me about December the 8th of 2020 and how you became involved.
Sure. I was actually at Starbucks getting my second win of a cup of coffee, and I got a phone call from my lieutenant. He said, "Did you hear what happened over the radio?" I said, "Yes, I heard what happened over the radio." He said, "I need you here now." He told me the address, 215 Mountain Vista, and I went straight away, blue lights all the way to the scene. At that point, I saw EMT had already been there, a couple of officers had already been there, and my supervisory staff is already there. And they told me, "Your lead, this is your case." I said, "Okay."
And who was your supervisory staff that was there?
Lieutenant Ray.
Okay. And when you what time did you get the call or arrive on scene? Do you know?
It would have been around 13:41.
Okay. And what time is that? And
1:41, I'm sorry.
And when you arrived on scene, who was there?
Like I said, we had 2 officers there, well, actually 3, Officer Pruitt, Officer Yurkovsky, and Officer Soto. We had my Lieutenant Ray there. We had another detective there, Detective Priest. And then I arrived. And then we had several EMT officers there.
When you arrived on scene, were the injured parties still present?
One of the injured parties was still present. The baby had been taken away.
Okay. And who was the other individual that was injured?
Chloe Driver.
All right. And who else was on scene? You indicated that your supervisory staff said your lead. What does that mean to be lead? And what did you do in terms of sort of navigating or calling the shots at that point?
Sure. So when you do become lead over
Send
the
me an
crime scene,
email,
you're
Christine.
basically calling the shots. You're telling people what they need to do, how they need to do it. You're interviewing most people on scene and taking them to specific places so you can interview them in a quiet setting. You're taking photographs if you can. If not, you're telling crime scene what to get, what to collect, what to look for, things of that nature.
Okay. How many people were on scene in terms of first responders, law enforcement, EMT, fire rescue when you were there?
Probably over 10 of us.
Okay. And so tell me what steps you took when you got on scene. You indicated that Hannah had already been taken from the scene. At that point, when you arrived, did you know whether she was deceased or not?
I did not.
Okay. And what was sort of the way that you navigated from the time you arrived on scene this investigation?
I told everybody to separate all parties. I did not know who was involved or what had happened. I also told crime scene take the photos of the scene, collect whatever evidence they could collect, including a murder weapon if there was one. I let them know that if there are parties still there that were on scene that saw it, I'd like them to go back to the station so that way I can interview them appropriately. And then also just to make notation of what the scene looks like. Again, sketch it out, whatever they needed to do.
Okay. You used the terminology crime scene. Who were you referring to with regard to who crime scene is in this particular case?
So we do have our detective taking pictures, Detective Priest. So he was part of the crime scene, but we also have Cherokee Sheriff's Office crime scene come in and their techs take pictures, collect evidence and things of that nature. I think Officer Shaw was one of our crime scene techs there.
All right. And what dictates whether you call in the sheriff's office to assist with crime scene?
If the scene becomes too big in order for our small department to handle it.
And was that a decision that you made?
Yeah.
And at that time, were there any search warrants obtained or additional steps taken in the investigative process to facilitate that?
So yes, we do have to take a search warrant for the house in order to gather information and evidence out of the house in order to collect photos and things of that nature. So yes, there was a search warrant taken for the house.
Okay. How was the scene secured in terms of who was allowed to go where or?
So it was roped off like we always do with crime scene tape. And there was officers standing at the scene until that search warrant came.
Okay. Any idea how long law enforcement was at that house after the initial call?
Long time, maybe up into the wee hours of the night.
Okay. You indicated when you got on scene that you instructed other personnel to separate the parties.
Mm-hmm.
Was that done?
Yes.
Right. And you mentioned sort of on-scene interviews and then taking people down to the station. What can you tell me about sort of how you navigated, who you talked to on scene, and where that happened?
So because it was so chaotic and we had certain people interviewing certain people, I went to the person who wasn't being interviewed first, spoke to that person, got general information, and then asked that they take that person back to the station. Then I tried for the next one, asked that they take that person back to the station. So they were taken pretty much separately in different cars. So that way I can interview them separately.
Okay. And who were the people that you made contact with on scene that were not law enforcement or responders to this, the people that were at the residence when it occurred?
Everybody that was on scene, Jerry, Jason, Benyamin, Sarah, Jessica.
Okay. And did you make contact and speak to those people or other officers make contact and speak to those individuals separately while on scene?
They did.
Okay. And were they able to provide information about what they had witnessed or observed that day?
Absolutely. My officers came and told me specifically who they talked to. They had their information for me, even photo IDs that we can photocopy and things of that nature.
Okay. And then you mentioned that there were multiple people involved in transporting them to the police station. Where is Canton Police Department in relation to where this residence was?
Less than 10 minutes away.
And what was the reason for transporting each of them in a separate vehicle?
I didn't want them talking or giving statements that can conflict or convolute what they saw, but also I wanted to have independent witnesses of each other.
Okay.
So that way I can get the true facts of the story.
Okay. Is that pretty routine in sort of investigating a crime like this to try to separate people as quickly as possible?
Absolutely.
And who all went to Canton Police Department on that day to be interviewed by you?
Jerry,
The homeowner?
Jerry,
Okay.
Jason Spillers, Jessica, Sarah, and Benyamin.
Okay. So the two other wives, Benyamin, Jason Spillers, and Jerry?
Yes.
Okay. So the 5 of them?
Mhm.
Okay. And did you interview each of them separately?
I did.
And were they willing to speak to you about the circumstances surrounding Hannah's death?
They were.
How long were you there that evening interviewing all these parties?
Late.
Okay.
The next morning.
Did you collect anything, any evidence from any of those parties?
I did.
What did you collect?
I collected 2 cell phones,
Okay. Whose cell phones did you collect?
Benyamin's and Sarah's.
And after you concluded those interviews, did you give them any instructions? Did they just leave? How did you leave things with the group?
So I did tell them that I was going to download their cell phones to still be in the general area if they wanted their cell phones back. I also told them that they could go back to the house, but they couldn't go in the crime scene in case we were still there collecting things, and not to take anything away from the crime scene.
Okay. Do you mean the room itself?
The house.
The house.
Mhm.
Okay. And were at that time when they left the police department, were officers still on scene processing?
They were.
Okay. And did you have any idea at that point how long they were going to stay in Cherokee County?
I did not know.
Do you have any idea how long they did stay in Cherokee County?
I did not know.
Okay. Did you have any physical contact with any of these people after December the 8th of 2020?
Yes.
And when was that?
Eyes.
The very next day I talked to Benyamin. I actually went to the hospital to speak to Chloe, and I put him on the phone, so I knew he was in the general area still. And then I spoke to Sarah again, and I believe I spoke to Benyamin again.
Okay. And you indicated you told them to stay in the general vicinity so you could download their cell phones, and was that with the intention to return their cell phones to them once you downloaded them?
Correct.
And when did that happen?
Immediately. I went and took their cell phones right away, and I think they got them back probably within a day or 2.
Okay. And when you say you took their cell phones, what did that look like?
So when you take their cell phones, actually you get a search warrant for them. And we have the Cherokee Sheriff's Office that has their own investigations group that does all of their downloading. They use Cellbrite to download.
All right. At what point did you, on that day, learn that Hannah had died?
Pretty much right away. When I was on scene, they told me maybe 30 minutes into it that she had passed away.
Did you make any death notifications on scene? Did you tell anyone?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I know Benyamin was informed, yes.
Okay. And at the time that you interviewed them, were all the parties aware that Hannah was deceased?
Yes.
Were there any other investigative steps you took that night other than interviewing all the parties, having the crime scene processed, collecting the cell phones?
I did get a search warrant to take photos and some blood for Nicole Driver so I can get it the very next day.
Okay. And what was the purpose of, you said so you could get some blood?
It's a sample. We didn't know who the parents were because they were all married, so we didn't really know whose mom and whose dad. So we did take blood or a sample, not of blood, but a sample of saliva from Benyamin, and then a sample from Chloe Driver.
Was that the purpose for proving parentage of Hannah?
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, I didn't have a birth certificate either.
And did you obtain a search warrant to get any evidence from Chloe Driver's body?
Yes.
And what was that for?
I wanted to get swabs off of her hands to see if she had DNA from Hannah on her hands.
All right. And where was Chloe Driver taken after she left 215 Mountain Vista?
Taken straight to Keystone Hospital.
All right. And in terms of the law enforcement response to the hospital, once she was taken to the hospital, was there an officer at the hospital with her?
Yes. We had an officer sit on her 24/7.
Okay. And you mentioned that you got a search warrant. When did you first go to Keystone Hospital to make contact with Ms. Driver?
12/9, which would have been the very next day.
The next day. Okay. And when you went to make contact with her at Keystone Hospital, you indicated that you had a search warrant. What was sort of your intention in making contact with her on the 9th?
So my intention was just to get photos of her, to get her saliva, and also to get DNA off of her hands.
All right. And when you interacted with her on that date, was it recorded?
Yes, it was.
And one moment, Your Honor, if I can discuss this. Your Honor, I was speaking with the defense based on our earlier discussions about the videos of Ms. Driver's interviews and the written annotations that have been added to them. I believe the parties are in agreement to stipulate to the admissibility of State's Exhibit 100, 101, and 102.
That's correct, Judge.
All right, you're admitted.
All right. When you went and made contact with Ms. Driver, was she capable of speaking verbally?
She was whispering, but not necessarily loudly speaking like I am today.
Okay, and why?
She had a slash in her throat.
Okay, did she have a trach?
Yes,
And was she capable of giving written responses?
absolutely.
And did she give written responses?
She's the one who told me she wanted to write stuff down.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm handing State's Exhibit 103 and 104. Do you recognize these?
Yes, this is my handwriting on the top and her handwriting on her social security number, date of birth, and address, as well as her name. And then this is her statements.
Okay, and do these truly and accurately reflect in State's 104, the Miranda form you exercised on that day, and State's 103, her handwritten responses to your questions?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I would tender State's 103 and 104. No objection.
You're admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to publish State's Exhibit 100.
All right.
And on what day did you indicate this was?
12/9.
12/9, okay?
Hey, Chloe. My name is Detective Cruz, and I'm here because I have a search warrant, okay? But I'm here to collect kind of DNA sample of your inner cheek, a DNA sample of kind of your hands, and then take some pictures, and that's pretty much it. Okay? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and then see if you're okay to even answer. You can't talk about what I'm asking, okay? So, do you know how many quarters are in a dollar? Good. Do you know where you are located today? Good. Do you know what day is today? Very good. And so I'm just here because I want to make sure that A, you're okay. Okay? And that B, I get stuff from your body to make sure that nobody is hurting you. Okay? You have experienced trauma, and so we want to make sure that you are taken care of. All right? And I'm going to leave this paperwork for you and my business card. And my business card will have my cell on it. If you need anything, that cell is on 24/7. Okay? You got that? Perfect. I'm going to leave this paperwork right here. You don't have to talk. You don't have to talk at all, okay? But we're not going to talk today, okay? And I'm going to visit you again tomorrow, okay? And I'm going to visit you the next day if you want me to. But I want to make sure that you're okay, okay? So let me put this here for you. And I'm going to leave you my business card. Okay? And then I'm going to take this out of here because we don't need this anymore. Okay? Okay. Are you cold? Are your feet cold? A little bit?
Not a very clean hospital. There's shit all over the floor. Just me. Couldn't cope with that room.
Okay. My camera is ready. Would you believe this for me on this hand if you can? Perfect. And stay like just like that. So I'm gonna come on this side, okay? Thank you. What about this hand? That's perfect. You can put that one down, okay?
All right, so she's got, this is a mistral air thing, so it's actually, it's like a mattress that inflates and deflates, and it's good for if you're going to be in bed for long term and you don't get pressure sores. She's also got a drainage tube in somewhere, which is draining into the bag down here. Yeah, she's got quite a few IVs up, and obviously the trachea tube into her neck. But they've left rubbish all over the floor, and it's just it's untidy. I couldn't deal with it.
Okay, again.
It's a machine just in the middle of nowhere.
So I wanted to tell
We've
you,
got-
I did talk to Mom for you.
Oh, okay.
And
So this machine on the end of the bed, that is a compression. It goes around your legs and it inflates and deflates to keep circulation going, so you don't get blood clots in your legs.
And they asked about you, and they want to see you. That's okay. If you want to see them, you can. If you don't want to see them, you don't have to. But they can't come into the hospital because this is a trauma unit. And so when they move you to a new unit, they may be able to visit, okay? So we will ask at that point if they can visit you, all right? Is that okay? But you don't have to see them if you don't want to, okay? Can I take pictures here? Okay?
All the rubbish on the floor.
on this side, okay?
Got a nasogastric tube down as well. Yeah,
You're all
you think?
swollen up. How's your legs? Are they swollen? Are they okay?
Did you send me an
Can you
email,
take a look?
Christine?
Oh, you got compressions on. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, I'll leave those on. Those are very good for you.
You're a police officer, not a nurse. Don't touch. Talking about her compression bandages. Leave them.
You want a nurse? Want me to do a nurse? You sure? Can we talk tomorrow? I want to talk to you tomorrow though, okay? Because I feel like I want to give you everything, okay? And I haven't visited yet, so I can't tell you for sure, okay? So I want to make sure that you're okay first. She's at a different hospital, because this is not a baby hospital,
Ugh,
okay?
don't lie to her.
Breathe, please, and heal.
Just told her that her baby was at a different
I want you
hospital.
to breathe, okay? I do not want to put up your blood pressure, it looks like it's gonna go up. So, I'm gonna have the nurse check, just be on the safe side, okay? Hold on.
Could be a nurse station outside the door.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that'll be the police.
I'll make sure that her blood pressure is not going up too high.
Where's her nurse?
Can you check that just for me? I just want to make sure that her blood pressure is okay and I'm not elevating it in any way.
I don't know what it has been, but she's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just, I was concerned, because I'm like, I see it a little bit spiking, and I'm like, I do not want to cause any spike in anything.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about medical
It's
stuff.
okay, that's what we're here for.
Okay. I just did too, just so you know. Okay.
We get scared of their stuff too.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I just want to make sure you're okay, that's it. And when I look at that and then it starts going up, I'm like, uh-oh. So, because you can't speak to me currently, is why I don't want to talk, okay? I want you to be able to say, well, you can write stuff down, you want to write stuff down? Okay, we can do that, we can do that. Let me get something to write with, okay? Are you wanting? You want to write? I don't understand. So, let me get something for you to write. I don't want you to talk, okay? Let me get something for you to write with. Okay, I have to write stuff. She wants to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. How about that? That's a good enough. Good enough. These are all juvenile. This, yeah, I have them in different languages, just so you know, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All types of stuff. Right. I'll do that. All right. I'll leave it out. All that matters. Okay. And I think she has, well, Well, you can actually go right there. I'm gonna see what you did right on that. Alright. I found something for you right there, okay? Okay. Before you say anything to me, I want you to read your rights, okay? And I have to do this. Our policy, state of Georgia, you have rights, all right? And everybody has rights. And I do not want you to not listen and hear them and then read them for yourself, okay? Here's your first right. You have the right to remain silent, okay? You don't have to speak to me, okay? Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law, all right? You have the right to talk to a lawyer or have them present during questioning. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed for you and any questioning if you wish, okay? You can decide at any time during this interview that you can exercise your rights and you can quit being answered with any questions, or you can quit me asking any questions or making any statements. You can just stop at any point and say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Is that okay? Fair enough? Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to write everything for you today's date, which is 12/9. We are at CANTON Hospital. Okay, the time is 15:59. And I'm going to put mine. Okay? And then I'm going to have you witness for signing this, okay? I'm going to sign here. Okay. You're going to put your name here, how old you are, your date of birth, your address where you live. If you don't have an address, don't put one. You're going to read each right and then put your initials, and then read that paragraph saying you understand your rights. Then you're going to sign, okay? That's for you, and that's for you. Do you want to do this?
I like to get to entrance where they turn you around.
Oh, okay.
They check in the temperature and then the door is sitting there. So I gotta walk into the hospital building.
Okay.
So, but it's so long. That's when I got lost.
Good question.
I'll be here maybe 10 minutes, is that?
All right, I'm gonna have him sign this paper, but I'm gonna take this paper from. You can write whatever you wanna write, all right? You sign that witness signature line.
Is it your first time? Second?
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. You want to do this? You want to ask the question, write it down, and then I'll read it out loud and I'll answer the question? You want to do that? Yeah? Okay. You can keep the pen. You said, I want to know if my baby survived ASAP. That's one question. I want to know who is staying with her. That's the second question. Okay. And I'm going to answer both for you. Your baby did not survive. Okay? Your baby did not make it. All right? Your baby is currently getting an autopsy done to find out what actually happened to her body. Okay? You want to ask more questions? No? I'll do it for you. You can ask me anything you want. Who did that to you? Did your husband do that to you? That's a question? You want to answer? Yeah? Okay. I want to speak to Benyamin Ben Michael and Nicole Driver. Okay? We can't let you speak to Benyamin, okay? Because you have that in there. We can't let you speak to your mom, and your mom said she's coming, okay? Do you want to speak to her? She's coming here. Do you want to speak to her in person, face to face, or on the phone? In person, face to face. Okay, good. So I've already called your mom, and she said she's going to be here tomorrow morning, okay? She's on her way. You have another question? You cannot speak to Benyamin because I think he did this to you. Can you tell me what you're saying? I don't want anybody to hurt you anymore.
The police officer in the back, they're not allowed to leave. They have to. I actually looked after a patient who had tried to self-unalive after unaliving his wife, and was. You think this is a bad way to unalive yourself? Well, this guy decided that drinking bleach was a better way to do it. Yeah, nah. So anyway, he had 2 police officers at the end of his bed at all times. Any conversation or anything, any interaction between staff and him had to be documented and recorded, and yeah. So there has to be a police officer 24 hours a day outside that door, and all of these will be admissible as well. He'll want copies of that. It looks like that was a 2-bed unit that they've taken one person out of and made it a single room. But generally, when you've got, a trachea in, there's a nurse outside the door anyway, at least, always, if not beside them. There was something else I was going to say. Yeah. I hate it when that happens. But my DoorDash is arriving any second. I only ordered it 3 hours ago. Useless. So I shall, when the doorbell goes, I shall nick off and get it and bring it back. Oh, I was actually going to say, we probably don't need to watch this because we've seen, we've got the actual messages in writing. So we probably don't necessarily need to see her writing them. That's valid. That's valid. I've actually made an independent video of all of the letters that she'd written, and all the notes that she's done, and it's on the playlist.
Breathe, breathe. Okay.
Look at me. Breathe. Slow. You're breathing. Look at me.
What's your name? Chloe. Chloe.
Chloe.
What's her name?
Look at me.
Are you her nurse or not?
Breathe. Breathe. There you go. There you go. You're doing good. Just breathe. Just breathe. Okay. It was going wonky because her pulse ox was right here, so when she was writing,
Oh,
just
I'm
giving her, no, it's fine. That's why it was alarming. But then she just got worked up.
Do you want me to read it? You want me to read it? He didn't do it, I did. I was going insane and no longer wanted to be with his friends, but kept coming back for him. I only wanted my baby and husband, but he refused. Who are his friends? Who are they? Do you know their names? Help me. You don't want to? Okay. Okay, we're stopping. That's it, no more. I don't want to hear someone. What's his name? I'm coming tomorrow again. Can we call tomorrow? Okay? He can't come here because they won't let him. Because of COVID, nobody can come in this hospital. So when you switch rooms, then people can visit you, okay? But nobody can come in here. Only law enforcement can come in here. Nobody else. They're not. What time do you? 9:30 a.m. That's good? Good.
She's not going
I
anywhere, is
don't
she?
want to be in. I'm protected for you. I'm here for you, okay? What the hell? He wants to take her to Knoxville. I know. Okay? Benyamin wants her body too. He said so. Okay? You want Benyamin to have her body? He can't come here and talk. Tomorrow he can't come and talk. They won't let him come into this hospital, and I don't know if they're transferring you from here. I have to ask, okay? And I know, but we can call him tomorrow, okay? I'm gonna get his phone number and everything like that. He doesn't have your phone. It's at the house? You want me to go get it? Okay. He's not at the house. I want you to breathe, please. Just one more again. You're scared? Your stuff is at the house. Upstairs in the room, Your phone and the bag. Okay. Phone and bag is upstairs in the room. I got that. Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell me before I come back tomorrow for you? You just want to call him? You want to talk to him? Okay. Okay. I will make that happen. Okay? All right? I will make it happen. Okay? I'm going to get his phone. That way we can call. I have your phone. I have my phone. I have your phone. Yes. Okay? But I can't bring it here because it's dead. We gotta charge it. It's dead? Yes. We tried to look to see about your mom's phone number and couldn't find it on your phone, so I had to look somewhere else. Take the pictures off. Is mine off? Yours is off. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna charge it for you tonight. Okay? And I will bring it tomorrow. Oh, I can't get it now. Canton is far from here. And your phone is in Canton. Canton is like 45 minutes from here. Okay? We're not near Canton. So I would have to drive all the way over there and then come all the way back here. Okay? That's why I'm going to do it tomorrow. We're going to schedule an appointment tomorrow. Okay? 9:30 a.m. Okay? Your mom, she's coming tomorrow, so hopefully we can get you in a new room so your mom can see you. I talked to your mom already. You want me to talk to them about moving you? Okay, I will. Okay. Is there anything else I'm missing? No? All right. Tomorrow, 9:30. Okay?
Yeah, but I knew that's the only way I could get my husband to go here.
All right, Detective Cruz, I want to follow up with you about a couple of things about that interview. We put the annotations in the Miranda form on the video, but what we've already previously admitted is State's Exhibit 104. I'll put that up on the screen. All right. First, tell me, when you walked in and you started asking her questions about how many quarters in a dollar, what day of the week is it, do you know where you're at? We heard your portion, but was she able to accurately answer all of those questions?
She was. She whispered everything.
Okay. And why did you ask her those questions?
I wanted to know if she was of sound mind and judgment, and that's usually questions that we ask. I didn't know how many medications that they gave her, if she was lucid even to talk.
Okay. And did she seem to have any difficulty understanding you, knowing who you were, knowing why you were there?
Not at all.
Okay. And then you had previously indicated that you were not there to talk to her at all, that you were just going to sort of take swabs until she indicated she wanted to write. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. We saw that you did take those swabs. Were those sent off to the crime lab?
They were.
Your Honor, we do have a written stipulation, which I can read into the record at the appropriate time. Any objection? Okay, I'll just read it this time. Stipulation: swabs from the left and right hands of Chloe Alexis Driver were collected by Canton Police Department on December the 9th, 2020. The swabs were sent to the GBI crime lab where chemical examination revealed the presence of blood. Further laboratory testing revealed the DNA of Hannah Driver was located on the swabs from both the left and right hands of Chloe Alexis Driver, dated November 14th, 2024, signed by myself, Katie Gropper, and attorney Angela Trethewey. Well, Jonathan Kessler for Angela Trethewey. All right, going back to, you asked some preliminary questions about to assess sort of what mental state she was in, her ability to communicate coherently. When you handed her this Miranda form that we're seeing in State's Exhibit 104, Tell me which portions she filled out herself.
Sure. She filled out her name, her age, her date of birth, her social security number, her address. She put her initials 1 through 5, and then she signed at the bottom.
And did she require any assistance doing any of that?
She did not.
Okay. And then we saw the annotations on the screen. I'd like to publish State's Exhibit 103, which has been previously admitted. Is this the complete writing from when you spoke to her in that interview we just saw?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. At some point, you and her in that interview were still communicating, but she wasn't writing anymore. But you were obviously responding to things that you were hearing her say, but they were not audible. So I want to talk to you about some of that. At one point in that interview, you said, "I don't want to call him and get you worked up." What was that in response to?
She wanted to speak to Benyamin, and I told her her blood pressure was already going up. I don't want to call him and get her worked up, meaning her blood pressure would have been even sky through the roof. And I knew she was in a fragile state, so.
Okay. At one point, you said immediately before she left the house. What was that in response to?
If she had passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at one point, you said that is for your family to decide, and you engaged in a discussion with her about what was going to happen to Hannah's body.
That's correct.
What did she say she wanted to happen to Hannah's body?
She said she wanted Ben Michael to have Hannah, not her parents.
Okay. And then toward the end of the interview, you made arrangements to return the following day. What was her request about why she wanted you to return with her phone the following day?
She wanted to call Benyamin and her parents.
Okay. All right. That same day, did you ever go back into the room and speak to her a second time?
I did. I believe I asked when they were going to move her.
Okay.
And they told me they weren't going to move her. So I had mentioned to her that they weren't going to move her just yet.
Okay. Was that recorded as well?
That was.
Your Honor, I'd like to publish State's Exhibit 101, which has been previously admitted.
All right.
Okay, I just got word from them. They are not moving me tomorrow.
Just
okay?
realized I was
And
muted.
they don't make any exceptions for mom or anybody to come in the room because of the ICU, okay? So I want to be very clear. Mom can't come in, but we can call her. You want to call mom? We can do that, okay? So 9:30 a.m., first call, you want to be to mom or you want it to be to Benyamin? You want to write it down? Because whatever you write, I can tell them. That's up to you. Will they move for 2 days from now?
I don't know. I don't know when they'll move it really. We don't have to make definitive, this is when it will happen.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The better you get, then they'll move you, okay? So your job is to stay healthy and to get better. So they can move you and then we can have visitors. You can't have your phone, okay? We took a search warrant for your phone too, okay? Because we thought that Benyamin was hurting you. And so we took your phone and his to make sure that's not happening, okay? We wanted to make sure that there's nothing on that cell phone that says he's been hurting you, he's been violent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I'll carry it. All right.
Come on. The bags of rubbish in there. Lucky.
Don't even worry. Thank you. Are these sealed? Yeah? Okay, they are, okay. I wanted to make sure I showed you that. Is this sealed? Yeah? Okay, perfect. I'm gonna open this one and we'll do key first, okay? Let's see if I can actually open it. There we go. Usually when my pen doing this for me, but. Do you want me to move so you can empty that out right now? You sure? Okay. You know, I have broken into these things. And that. Do you have a middle name? Like I-D-E-R? Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. Why this has to be
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you.
this
Okay?
okay.
I'm only a mere detective collecting evidence and investigating. So I'm gonna get a little bit of water
Just
from
come
here.
in and record the buckle swab and the Miranda right. And the rest
Okay? I want you to open your hand. Perfect. I'm gonna take a little bit of. If I can put it so very good.
okay, so she's taking some swab. Awesome.
I'm gonna be back
Come on, lady.
tomorrow. Numbers that I need from Mom and Benyamin, so that way we can call them, okay? 9:30 in the morning, are you going to expect me? I'll be here tomorrow for you, okay? All right. Do you want me to leave this so you can communicate with other people? Yeah? I'll leave it for you, okay? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your patience.
May I approach?
Yes.
Planning States Exhibit 105. Do you know what this is?
Yes, this was the last sentence that she asked of me.
Does this truly and accurately reflect what Ms. Driver wrote on December the 9th of 2020?
Great job.
Yes.
Code Tender States 105. No objection. Permission to publish?
It only took 3 hours to get here.
And we heard you read this out loud, but is this the actual original writing of Ms. Driver?
That is the actual original writing of Ms. Driver.
Does anyone else eat pizza with a knife and fork?
At one point, I believe when you were swabbing her hands, you said in the interview, is that a cut?
Yes.
What were you observing?
On her right hand, she had 2 visible cuts that I could see. And so I asked her, is that a cut?
Your Honor, we do have another video. Are we going to take a morning break, or how do you want us to time?
How long is the next video?
It is 30. 38 minutes.
Okay, sounds like this would be a good time to take a break.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna let you be in recess until 1:45. You can go downstairs if you'd like to. Leave us your notepads. Don't talk about the case. We'll see you back in the jury room at 1:45.
Showing you States 106. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And is this the Miranda form that you completed with her on that day?
I did.
And I would tender at this time state 106.
No objection.
106 is admitted.
All right. And then in terms of the manner of communication with her on the 10th of December, was she still communicating primarily in writing?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to hand you, may I approach?
Yes.
State 107, which is a 4-page deposit exhibit. Do you recognize these?
I do.
And what are those?
These are her handwriting.
Are these the handwritten notes from Ms. Driver for the duration of the conversation with her on the 10th, including her communication with you, with Benyamin, and with her mother?
That's correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I would tender states 107. Yeah.
Come on, get to Benyamin already.
Thank you. No objection?
No objection.
107 is admitted.
All right. And then similarly, was that communication recorded with your body cam?
It was.
And Your Honor, that has already been tendered. Let me get back into the computer here.
It wasn't my first choice, Christine. DoorDash was useless. I made the order 3 hours ago and they cancelled it. It's the only option I had.
And I would like to publish at this time States Exhibit 102.
Go ahead.
Okay. Is that a little bit better? Right about that. You. 3, 9, 8.
By the looks of what I've seen, well, probably is completely different, but your pizza looks a lot different to our pizza. Yours looks more base with not a great deal of topping, whereas ours are different, I think. So, but yeah, it's not something that I would normally order, but yeah. Damn DoorDash. It's nice though. It's just buffalo mozzarella and basil, fresh basil. I did too, but cheese doesn't like me. Not even a little bit.
What do you want to do?
Lord.
Do you want to call Ron first? Okay? No. Let me call again. Okay. 843 number?
Oh, she's
That's what the
trying to
number
call.
is calling me from. Ben? Hello, Ben? Ben?
No, it's Prophet Elijah. Oh,
Second? Ben is Detective Cruz, and I'm here with Chloe. And she hears you, but she can't talk to you, but she's writing down questions. So I'm going to relay the information to you, okay? And she says, Ben, hi, how are you, and where are you? Did you hear me? Ben? Ben? Hold on. Ben? Okay, I can hear you now. She says, hi, how are you, where are you, have you seen Nancy? Okay. You want to ask something else? She's crying. Do you want to say anything
do you hear
to
what you
her?
said? I have not seen our deceased child, no.
She wants to know what happened.
In your mind in the last minutes because just something like that all just started just when I came up the stairs to get everybody. When did you go down and get a knife? In Sherry's kitchen. Why?
Okay, she says, I felt safest. Oh, it felt safest. Then I felt horrible.
She wrote what?
It felt safest. Then I felt horrible. I went because I had no choice. You hear me?
Yeah. So you went to get toys and you returned with a knife.
So you went to get toys and you returned with a knife? No. I went to get a knife
Because she had no choice.
because she had no choice.
No choice. No choice. I heard the word T-O-Y-S, toys.
No, see, she said choice. C-H-O-I-C-E.
Can she hear me? So on speaker.
Yeah, you're on speaker. She can hear you.
You always have a choice, and your choice is this. You always have a choice. I don't know why you felt like you had no choice. Why did you feel like you had no choice?
She says, I couldn't handle being with the group anymore. And you left no alternative, which the certain threats. What threats did you make to her?
Not sure what she's referring to.
Come on, man. Let's be truthful here. She's being truthful here.
Ask her what threats.
Taking the money and not letting me just buy land and He, it, her. As long as she needed you have a whole roof to take care of. And blame me for all the problems. You blame her for all the problems.
No, you were blaming yourself for everybody in the world saying you were saying you control everybody. You were blaming yourself for everything.
Let's be constructive here.
Just the day before.
Let's not blame anybody.
Just the day before.
Yes, you constantly told me.
Just the day before that whole deep teaching that came out just before we left. They said the moral was, Jason said the moral was, remember who you are.
So what deep teaching was that?
It's not your fault.
Why did they?
I said the moral is, it's not your fault.
Except everybody treated me like it was. I only existed if I'm weak. First. Hey, listen to me. I don't think this is getting anywhere.
I wanted to hear something a little more specific.
The girl always hated, that's why we bring us indifferent. No? Okay. Okay, she said the girl always hated, that's why we bring us indifferent to places. Practicing. Oh, separate now. She separated the girls? Why?
As we said in the interview, because it was very negligent in considering everything that just happened. But I felt like everybody was very happy because the context of that going on our way to get away, and we were all seemingly pretty excited about it. I felt like Cody was very lifted about just this one thing, seeing being there for her.
She even asked. She said it felt wrong. She said, I thought it felt wrong. I even asked.
I just said that's enough for me because I figured that they were trying to make things press, and they said they're 100% bigger source than being like.
Okay.
That's all. And
Are you ready to end this conversation?
almost. Yes, we did.
And just what? Okay. Can you watch it? And just watch it. Okay. Here's a piece of paper. Let's push it up so you can write that.
Good morning, Sarah.
All right.
Good morning, Rusty.
And just wanted to have a normal life for me and next week. You probably told me I keep distracting and removing, Listen, she gave you what she had, okay? So.
I just wanted to know if there was anything more specific as the trigger in this last one that's one. I just wanted to know. Nothing that go back for a brush of something. Listen, steps away from just asking you. So
I told you why.
You told me you had no choice. I'm asking you had no choice about that house specifically in that moment.
You refused to listen. And how many times did I think how I felt? Things would go if I remained in that state.
Let me ask you this last question.
I agree and said You did, oh, you didn't take me seriously.
Let me ask you this question, last question. Why do you think any of these units didn't have it out? And you had to do that. Why that?
Because you thought, oh, what you taught me about the messed up inner layers and magic with what you were doing to her if I didn't listen. So it sounds to me like
Doesn't sound to me like they sat around and talked about their feelings and it was all rainbows and butterflies and like Jason described it. Really? He's not even concerned about her. He just not one little bit of it's just he just sounds like
it was a lot of threats made on your part to her, and this is her reasoning for those threats, okay? I saw what you were insisting, but no worries. Nobody will be. Believe me. Good? You want to take more or not? Okay. You never want to talk anymore either. Unless you do. Do you have questions? Okay. Did you arrive with her?
No, the officer took her away from me. Now they get accused. She was detained in the house.
Okay. All right. If you have additional questions about this, what happened, I can answer those, all right? Did you try to come to did you try to come to either of us? You didn't want to see it. Anything else before then, Bill? No? You said no. All right, thank you so much, Ben. Yes, okay, bye-bye. Okay. I have questions, okay? Not about conversation between you two, okay? That's your personal business, okay? Are you okay with me asking questions? Okay. When you came in with all the bags and babies, is that what you have tonight, or you went back downstairs? You went back downstairs. Okay. Are the cuts on your hand from that night? Or from something different? Probably? Okay. What about your black eye? Tell me what happened here. I don't remember? I don't know. Okay. And same thing like that? Was it because of the situation that you were triggered that day? I wasn't in the same. Oh, I was in the same state for almost 2 months. Oh my goodness. It's getting worse. And nobody cares at all. Are you your parents care? One. I ran 2. No. Okay. Your mom sent me a video. You remember making that video? You want to see it? You let me know. You don't have to if you don't want to. Do you remember the video or no? No? Okay. See if I can pull it up, okay? I also have your daughter on the line, okay? She hears everything you're saying, okay? And she wants to talk to you, but I will be communicating for her. She will be writing down the questions. If you have anything,
And so she's on the phone to her mum.
She's unable to speak. She's whispering, but not that great. Yeah, let's say from on my side. Call me on this number. Thank you. Bye. Okay, Mom wants to meet you. Is that okay? Okay. Just call me right back on my iPad and we can FaceTime. I'm sorry I told her. I should have saved. What's your phone password? Are you willing to give me that? 4, 2, 6. All right. Let's see if Mom is FaceTiming me now. Let's see. I think she's going to call from this number. Is that what you want to tell Mom to? Hey, this is Detective Cruz. She can hear you, that's fine. She said, I am sorry I told her. I should have stayed. Tell her what you want to tell her. I love you. 2. They're going to take me away. After being in here for weeks by myself. So they are going to move her to a new unit. So I have to ask that new unit if you guys can come see her, okay? All right, and I will ask, okay? And I'm going to do my hardest to see if, because of COVID, it's really bad here. I'm not sure if you're familiar. The cases of COVID have gone up in Georgia, and this area that we're in is heavily invaded with COVID. So if you guys do come, you're going to have to be masked up and everything the whole time with her. Okay? Absolutely. We're going to try so that way you can see her, okay? Okay. Absolutely.
Now we're talking to the lawyer. You have to be a lawyer. Okay?
Good advice, Mum.
Please do that. We have to use a lawyer. Okay? From here on out, you guys are a lawyer, okay?
Hey, that's okay. Her blood pressure is going up and breathing and elevated, and so I get it, but I don't want to really get her messed up. She said, can you talk to Brian about using the trust money? Maybe? No? Can you talk to Brian about using the trust? Maybe. And I already told them a lot. Yeah, you guys told us a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Okay? Because I feel, hold on. Still talking, because I feel hopeless. Yes. Yes. We'll talk to you afterwards. I think this is a lot for her to handle in a day.
I'm really sorry about her brother. I love you, Mom. I love you very, very much. Move to where you feel okay. Love you.
She said I love you too. She went for this. I think I bring her less, okay?
Is she gonna be okay?
She's gonna be okay.
She is.
She is gonna be okay. Okay?
Alright. I love you more than anything. I love more than anything. Take care of yourself. Please make sure you start eating. Please. I know you can't right now, but
I think they have a feeding tube, right? They gave you a feeding tube? Yes, they gave her a feeding tube. She hates it, by the way. She hates it. I know. Okay. We will call you right after this, okay? Thank you. No, that's fine. You know, things are needed. It's a situation that's going to be needed, okay? I get it, I get it.
thank you for letting me chat.
You're welcome. Can you talk to Brian about losing the trust? Maybe, okay?
I'll do my best.
I'll do my best. He might ignore you. Where's the shop, though? Where's the shop? That's what she said.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Okay.
I love you, Chloe.
I love you. I love you too. Okay, thank you.
Is it,
Thank you.
is it just me, or is that almost a bit inappropriate that a detective, like the lead investigator, was facilitating that phone call? Like, I feel like it should have been more nursing staff or social work or something like that, because everything that she's saying can and will be used against her. Just think it's a conflict of interest, in my opinion. I don't think that was necessarily her role to be played.
You can do whatever.
All right.
Detective Cruz, we discussed that was December the 10th of 2020. The following day, December the 11th, were you present when she had a conversation with her father on the phone?
I was.
Okay. Were you there for questioning her on that day?
I wasn't going to question her on that day, but yes, I was there. I held my phone for her, and her father talked to her about getting an attorney.
Okay. Did you Mirandize her or question her in any manner?
No, it was just a conversation between her and her father.
Okay. And what statements do you recall her making in your presence to her father?
She did not want
Still
an attorney.
admitting the evidence, though.
And did she make any statements about?
How can that come in if she wasn't Mirandized? Isn't that fruit of the poisonous tree? None of this should be admissible if she hasn't been Mirandized. Is it me?
About her state of mind when she committed the acts?
She did.
And what did she say?
I did it in my own mind, or something to that effect. It was of my own mind.
I want to talk to you. You indicated that investigator Shaw did the scene processing in this case.
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 65 and admitted into evidence. Let's see. Do you recognize what this is?
That's the baby bag.
Okay. Was this the bag that was in the room with Ms. Driver and Hannah when the act was committed?
That's correct.
Okay. What is, can you see my cursor on your screen?
Yes.
What is this?
That's her cell phone.
Okay. Is this the cell phone that you collected and had processed by Lindsay Harris?
That's correct.
And after this bag was collected, did you do anything to retrieve any items out of that bag?
Good morning, darling.
Yes. So we got rid of all of there's food in there. So we got rid of the food. And then we,
Is that carrots we see?
yeah, yes. And then we looked inside of the bag to see what was in it. There was some baby clothes, a couple checks. Her cards were in there, like the state of Connecticut card. There was debit cards. There was also money, cash in there. And she had some checks and like a bank statement.
Okay. How much cash was in that bag?
$1,000.
All right. And did you ever communicate with Ms. Driver after that bag was collected about what to do with those items?
I did.
And what did she
eyes
request
every
done with
time.
those items?
To be given to her parents.
Okay. And when I say those items, what specifically, what were being given to her parents?
So the cash and then the cards, and I
It
believe
was in a hospital bed with a trachea tube in. She couldn't leave. She was, yeah. And it's the lead detective that is facilitating the calls between her and her cult leader husband. And she can't speak because she's got the trachea tube in. So she's writing it all down. And yeah, even if she hadn't been Mirandized and these are just everyday conversations, like she's saying, well, why are you presenting them in court? It shouldn't be admissible at all. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Please
photo IDs.
fine.
Okay. And did she complete a property release form to allow you to release her personal effects and cash to her parents?
she did.
May I approach? Yes. And you say 108, do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Is this the form that she completed?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I would tender state 108. No objection.
108 submitted.
And right.
And I'm publishing 108. Okay.
Oh, it's GTFO. Then right. GTFO. What's that? Get the fuck out. I don't know. Is it? That was my guess. Am I right? Get. You bingo. I win. Yeah. But she couldn't really, because she wanted to speak to the boyfriend, and this is the only person that's facilitating that. Sorry, not the boyfriend, the husband, and her mother, and the father. I love bingo. Yay for me.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt Ms. Driver. I wanted to bring this, I know we're on a delay, but there's been contact information already posted with respect to phone numbers, and now we're getting into addresses. I just want to make sure that none of that's going to be televised or that will be blacked out.
Yes.
Redacted.
This is State's Exhibit 108. And can you tell the jury specifically what you retrieved from that bag and that belonged to Ms. Driver and released to her parents?
Sure. 2 Wells Fargo's debit card, 1 state of Connecticut social services card, 1 state of Florida photo ID of Chloe, and then $1,000 US in 20 increments of 50 each.
Okay. And those debit cards, were those in the name of Chloe Driver?
They were.
My approach.
Yes. Meeting with Mark States 109 through 114. You have to look at these and tell me if you recognize them.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone
These
else?
were just the bag.
Just generally tell me, are those the items that came from that bag?
All of these items came from that bag.
No, that we're not.
And do these photographs truly accurately reflect what was inside that bag that was collected on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time I would tender State's Exhibit
Yes,
109
exactly.
through 114.
Mhm.
They're admitted.
She was saying at the start, I'm here for you. I just want to make sure that you're okay and that everything's okay. And I'm here for you to make sure that no one hurt you. And yeah.
Permission to publish? Okay. All right, I'll start with 109. This is the bag.
That's correct.
Do you know what this item is here in the middle?
It was, I believe, a Bible.
Okay. And then what were these items that were in the bag?
Checks.
Okay. And whose name were these checks in?
Chloe Driver's.
All right. And
All right. I just got a text message from Tanya. She's going to jump in shortly. She's been busy. Yeah. Busy. We'll have to give her heaps of shit.
go to, let me see if I can rotate this. All right. Let me go back to 109. What banking institution were these checks related to?
Wells Fargo Bank.
Okay. And in looking at this check, can you determine the last 4 digits of the account number?
Yes, ma'am, 6656.
And when we look to the receipts that were in the bag, what do we have in the receipts?
The checking number, which would be 66. The date of the last transaction.
And there's 3 items in this, so let me be specific just for purposes of the record.
All right. We have to be nice to her because her
Receipt on the
fiance's
bottom
probably
left
a bit
of the
too.
photograph. What was the account balance and last 4 of the account number on that one? Okay. And does this receipt on the lower left of State's Exhibit 111 show a withdrawal in the amount of $800?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do the checks that we just discussed correspond with that account number?
Yes, ma'am.
And then going to the receipt on the top of State's 111, what does this show in terms of the transaction and account?
It shows a different date, the amount taken out, same checking number.
Yeah. Okay. She had checks in her bag.
Okay, and this shows a withdrawal of $200?
That's correct.
Okay, the combination of those 2 receipts, $800 withdrawal and a $200 withdrawal,
This is a massive
did that
gap
collective
there.
amount, was that consistent with the amount of cash that you found?
Bada bing, bada boom.
And the purpose behind that was you didn't want any of these people talking to each other or anything else like that, correct?
That's correct.
Do you know if any of these individuals had their devices still at that point in time?
They all had their devices at that point in time.
Okay, but it wasn't until you got the search warrants, I think, to take those that you took them from Benyamin and Sarah?
That's correct.
And you didn't seek a search warrant for Jessica's phone
No, I did not.
or Mr. Spiller's?
No, I did not.
Okay. And part of the reason you want to do that is you want to keep them separate for an independent account of what actually happened, correct?
That's correct.
And give them some time to kind of process everything that they had just gone through.
Yes.
All right. So at some point later, after the scene, I guess, for lack of a better term, calmed down, your officers individually transported them to your precinct down here in downtown Canton, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And the first individual you spoke to was Benyamin, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And all of these individuals were put in separate areas, correct?
That's correct.
They weren't in a general waiting room or lobby together, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So they didn't have an opportunity when they were at the police department to kind of talk or engage with one another.
No, and if they were in a room together, there was an officer there with them.
With them. Do you know if any of them still had any of their devices with them at that point in time?
The only people who didn't have their device would have been Nicole Driver. Her device was in the bag. And then Benyamin had his while I was talking to him, and I asked for it after that.
Okay. And when you asked for it, what was his reaction initially?
Oh, he didn't even want me to touch it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when was and then after you talked to Benyamin, you talked to Mr. Spillers, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And then
That would have been
went and talked
enlightening.
to, I think, Sarah next.
That's correct.
And actually, was it Sergeant Hamilton that talked to Jessica Kafijian?
You missed
I don't know
a
if it was
doozy of a day
Jesse
yesterday.
Hamilton or if it
Wow.
was,
Oh, my lord.
Jesse Ray.
Okay.
I
one
don't
of the
know.
Jessies.
One of the Jessies did.
Okay. All right. And then the last person I think y'all
You want-
spoke to was Mr.
You want to see stupid? Watch yesterday's testimony of Jason Spillers. Mm-hmm.
Avalon that night, correct?
That's correct.
And all of
A
these
new
interviews are
level.
going on while
Oh,
there's still
yeah.
an active investigation going on at the house, correct?
Correct.
And that's
new
all that
level of
crime
stupid.
scene processing and everything else that we saw earlier.
That's correct.
Okay. When was the first time you spoke to Eric and Renee Driver?
I believe it was the following day.
Did they contact you or do you recall you contacting them?
Now, I'm not sure if you had this, but Sergeant Hamilton actually spoke to them first. I think he is the one who did the notification.
Okay, and that could have been on the 8th?
It could have been, I'm not sure.
All right, but somebody notified them of what was happening at least that particular day, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so, and then based on, do you recall when you received a video from Miss Renee Driver?
So yes, she sent it in an email. And again, I don't know the exact date of the email, but yes, she did send me a video.
Okay, and you don't recall if that was on December the 8th or December the 9th?
No, I don't. And I know it wasn't on December the 8th.
Okay, and you received that video from the drivers prior to making contact with Chloe on December the 9th, correct?
No, actually, I received that video when I spoke to them afterwards. They actually came to Georgia and she told me about all of those things and she sent to me an email after that.
Okay, but if you watched the body cams, correct?
Yes.
And when you're with Chloe at that particular point in time, it was either the 9th or the 10th, and I'll check my notes in just a minute.
It might be the 10th.
Okay, so, but at that point, you had met with Chloe one time.
Yep. And then met with the drivers and then met with Chloe again.
Okay. If the interview that you have with the drivers isn't until the 11th, would that refresh your recollection?
It wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me show you. Could it have been a phone call you're thinking of?
Maybe.
Okay, so a formal interview didn't actually take place until the 11th, but you had had some kind of phone calls and
Yes.
exchanges with them. Okay.
Yes.
I'll try to be a little clearer about that. I
Yes.
know there's a lot of moving parts for you in this case. All right, so, but you had you had obtained that video from the driver, Renee, prior to showing
Interviewing them,
him.
yes.
Okay. And that interview, when you received that video, what did you do with the video?
I actually showed Chloe the video.
Okay, but you obviously watched it first.
I did.
Okay, and that became part of your case file, correct?
Yes.
All right. At this time, I would move to admit the video from November 27th, 2020. I do object. She didn't take the video. She's not the right person to authenticate the video. I asked that come in with Renee Driver. The fact that she had it in her case file is not the. I'm not. Sorry, Ms. Roper. I'm not tendering it for what the contents are. The truth of the matter asserted. She received that video, and she can verify that in fact is the video that she watched and referenced and showed Chloe on December the 10th.
And this is D6? No, this is D7?
D7.
All right, I think you need to lay further foundation for it.
Yes, ma'am. Sure. So you received this Facebook video, or excuse me, this video directly from Ms. Driver, correct?
That's correct.
Do you remember what email it came from, or whether it came directly from her cell phone to yours?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Can you clarify which Ms. Driver?
I'm sorry, Ms. Renee Driver.
I'm sorry. I don't know if it came via text or email.
But you don't have any doubt in your mind that it came from Ms. Renee Driver, correct?
Correct.
And that she had articulated to you that was a video coming directly from her cell phone, correct?
Yes. She said she was going to be sending it.
I would again move to tender defense 6. 7. I have the same objection, Your Honor. This witness cannot lay the foundation for what that video is, when it was taken, what was depicted in it. That needs to come from Ms. Renee Driver. Same objection.
Okay. If you can explore it any further, I'll allow it. Otherwise, I will sustain the objection to admissibility at this time.
Okay, based on your receipt of that video, you took that video to show it to Chloe as part of your investigation, correct?
Correct.
Because it raised some concerns to you, correct?
Yes.
And you don't have any reason to doubt that what the information was with respect to the date and time that was received directly from the file from Ms. Renee Driver, correct?
I'm sorry. Say that.
The date and time on that you didn't have any reason to believe the authentication or that it wasn't authentic, what she had sent you, meaning that there was any date or time change or anything else on that.
Now that I couldn't tell you.
Okay. But all you know is that in response to your investigation, Ms. Driver Renee Driver told you that she had this video and that she thought it was important to the case.
She thought it was important to the case. She sent it to me.
Okay. And based on that, you took that information and took that to Chloe on December the 10th and showed her that video.
I showed Chloe the video. I wanted more context on the video.
And as we saw in the body cam earlier, she indicated that that was in fact her in that video, correct?
Yes.
And that she identified herself as taking that video or being the part of that video from her mom's cell phone.
I'm assuming so.
You don't have a specific recollection, but she didn't say anything like, no, that's fake or anything like that.
All she did was wave her hand when I showed it to her.
That's as if she didn't want to see it again?
Correct.
Okay. Again, Judge, I'll move to tender defense 7. I have the same objection. I don't think the proper foundation's been laid.
All right. I will allow D7 to be admitted over objection.
Request permission to publish, Judge.
Go ahead.
My name is Chloe Driver. It's 11/27/2020. I'm being forced to get into a truck with Benyamin Ben Michael or Brian Joyce to see my daughter again because he has kept her away from me. I do not know where she is, and he won't tell me anything. He's kept her with people that I don't really know well, and I don't know what's going on with her. And I'm being forced to get in the car and go with him to be able to see her. And I don't even know if I'm actually going straight to her, but I'm doing whatever I think I can to get to her. Her name is Nicole Driver.
And that's the same video you showed her at the hospital, correct?
That's the same video I showed her.
Okay. Did Ms. Renee Driver also send you some screenshots of some text messages?
Yes,
Okay. And did you make those text messages part of your case file?
I did.
Okay. And you again don't remember the specific date that you received those?
I'm sorry, I don't.
That's okay. I'm going to show you. on 7 now, Jonathan? 28. I'm going to show you a picture. Part B8.
This is one of the photos that she sent to me.
Okay, so Miss Renee Driver sent you that picture.
Mhm.
And that again came from her cell phone or her email directly to you? Okay, and you made that part of your case file?
I did.
Is the person that is depicted in that particular photo the same individual you were conducting this investigation on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you have any date, reference in, as to when that picture was in fact taken?
I do not.
We would move to admit defense 8.
What have you done with it?
Is there any objection?
No.
It's
All
still
right,
on my
it's in
vape.
it.
I'm going to have to publish that in just a minute, Judge.
What the hell did I do with it? Don't chew your hair.
Is this the picture that I just showed you marked as defense 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's
Squeeze
the
look.
picture that you said you received from Ms. Driver? Renee Driver?
Emaciated.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, so on December the 9th was the very next day, and you had not gone out and talked to Chloe anytime on the 8th, correct? You were busy doing all of those
Yeah.
interviews and everything else, but you were being apprised of what her condition and everything was?
Yes.
Okay, and you also spoke to some other individuals on the 9th. Do you recall who you spoke to?
I believe I spoke to Ben Michael. I believe I spoke to Jason and
We
Sarah
didn't
again.
get to speak
He-
to him.
When you went out to the hospital on the 9th, the purpose of going out there, you also had obtained that search warrant for her person, correct?
That's correct.
To obtain the DNA swabs?
Yes, on the inside of her cheek and on her hands.
Okay, and you were also going out there to take
Photos.
photos of Chloe for that particular, okay. When you went out there, you went over her Miranda rights again with her
I did.
and explained to her what the purpose of that particular meeting was for?
Yes.
And that you already had the warrant and that she was, that she needed to, that you were going to do that because that a judge had already told you you could.
Yes. And I put the paperwork right next to the bed.
Okay, but at any point in time, did she try to fight with you or tell you that you couldn't do that?
No.
Okay, she was cooperative with you?
Yes,
All right, and one of the first things that you told her is that you wanted to make sure that she was okay, correct?
that's correct.
All right, because at that point you had already done some initial investigation and then there were some red flags that had already been raised.
Huge red flags.
Okay, and one of the purposes, aside from the search warrant that you communicated to Ms. Driver, was that you wanted to get stuff from her body to make sure that nobody had hurt her in particular.
Also to verify paternity and maternity.
Correct, but that was
Yes,
one of the
that will
statements you
be.
made to her, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so that being said, you, did you notice on that
I'll
day
be
that
doing the whole
whether or not
trial.
you could see her black eye?
Yes.
Okay, but you didn't document that in your report or anything until the next day?
Mhm.
Okay, but it was present there on December the 9th?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry.
On December the 9th, do you remember if it was her left or her right eye? Do you recall?
If she was sitting towards me, it'd be the left.
Left eye, okay,
Mhm.
and it had looked like it had been in the process of healing for some time?
Yes,
You also told her that she did not have to speak with you at any point in time, correct?
that's correct.
And you did go over that Miranda form and she did sign it and
She
talk
said
to you?
didn't
Yes, ma'am.
Miranda, I
And
said.
that, she did answer all the questions
Yeah,
you
I'm
asked her,
confused.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna show you. Some pictures. From the day. Have you identified them, okay?
Okay.
And when you went out there that day, you brought your own camera equipment and everything like that, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then what kind of items did you bring to do the DNA testing and for the parentage?
I brought some buccal swabs and then an actual DNA swab kit.
Okay, can you explain what a buccal swab is and how you take that?
Sure, it's just a Q-tip, a long Q-tip, and it's sealed. You open it, you
Buccal
put some
or
water
mute?
on it, put it in their cheek. You don't have to if you don't want to put water on it. Usually saliva is enough. And then with the DNA kit itself, to take blood, you would use water and try to swab from there.
Okay, but she was fairly cooperative with you in that whole process, so you didn't have any issues with her?
I did not have any issues with her.
All right. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Can you take the list?
These are the photos that I took that day. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
You would move to admit defense 8 through 12 and then publish to the jury?
Objection stated.
All right, 8, this is 8, 9, I think 8 was
8,
already
9.
admitted.
Oh.
9, 10, 11, and 12.
I'm gonna get it right one of these days.
All right, they're admitted.
To read
9 through 12?
9. That's what I get for pre-marking them.
I wonder if that attorney went home last night and thought, you know what? I might just piss in a cup and just for shits and giggles and see what it tastes like.
All right. Can you identify what that picture is?
That is a Chloe Driver.
Okay, and that's one that you took of her on December the 9th?
That's correct.
I know. My brain just takes me there. There's no coming back either. You look at him thinking, I wonder if it tastes salty. Chill it first.
All right, is that another one in the pictures you took that particular day?
That's another one that I took that day.
George Red. No, it is.
And another.
Can you identify what that picture is?
So that would be a part of her trach and the stab wounds.
Okay, and that's on her chest, the stab wound that's blocked by the air vent,
Correct. And then there's another one up by the trach area.
right up in here?
Yes.
And what's this a picture of?
Her back.
Okay, and what was the purpose of that, taking that picture?
I wanted to see if there were any stab wounds to the back as well.
Oh, that'd be a bit hard.
All right, when you were there and after you completed taking those pictures with her, you were talking to her and she started indicating to you she wanted to communicate with you. But because of the trach in place, she could not
She could whisper.
but that was difficult for your body cam to pick up, correct?
Yes,
Which is something that you wanted to preserve for this case, correct?
that's correct.
All
I'm
right,
just
so
gonna
you went
have
out and
to-
got a Miranda form from another.
I'm going to have to, bad pause. I'm going to have to do a compilation of this detective's eyes.
Officer
No, from my binder.
from your, but there was another officer sitting outside. of
Right,
you.
but I had it in my
You had
binder.
it in your binder. And then you went back and went over the Miranda form with her, correct?
I did.
All right, and one of the first things that she asked you is she wanted to know where her baby was, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then you had the conversation with her that the baby had passed?
Yes,
Okay. And, she had asked you if the
Oh, I
baby had
will.
survived and who was with her, correct?
that's correct.
All right, and you also asked her in that interview, who did this to you, correct?
Yes,
You were
Yeah.
still in the middle of a very active investigation, exploring all potential options, correct?
absolutely. I had tons of scenarios in my head.
Okay, and that those scenarios were still in your head, even though you had already spoken to Benyamin, Jason, Sarah, Gerald.
Absolutely.
Okay. You also indicated to her that you did not want her to or have anyone hurt her anymore, correct?
That's correct.
All right. She continued to speak with you via the writing, correct?
That's correct.
All right. She told you that he didn't do it. She did, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And that
Yes.
she was going insane and no longer wanted to be with his
Oh, you're
friends,
so
but kept coming back for
understanding.
him. Is that what?
That's pretty accurate.
Okay. And at that point, she had not talked to anybody, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so she didn't have her cell phone at the hospital, correct?
She did not.
And as far as you know, she had not communicated with Benyamin or her parents or anybody up until that particular point, because she was in the ICU, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so you were kind of, aside from the hospital staff, her first kind of point of contact.
I would think so.
Okay. When she agreed to speak with you, she wrote down those answers to your questions. What was her demeanor?
I mean, as any person that was hurt would be sad.
She was crying.
She was crying.
And at points, I think you would agree with me, she was sobbing.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were points and times where you had to go out and ask for the medical staff because things started going off in alarms in the room. So she was having some very real physical reactions to what she was communicating with you about.
That's correct.
Okay, and you were able to observe that, and we saw that on your body cam, correct?
That's correct.
All right. All right. So let's talk about on, at what point did you learn about a prior, without telling me the contents of it, learn about a prior incident with the Asheville PD?
I think Benyamin is the one who brought it up.
Okay. Did you or your sergeant, after that interview, request the law enforcement reports?
I did.
Okay. And do you remember at what point in time in your investigation you did that?
Oh, I would have done it immediately after I got back to the office.
Okay. Do you know approximately how long it was before you received those?
I don't.
Okay. But that was something that was on your radar.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you wanted to find out what law enforcement had to say with respect to those particular incidents, because you already had Mr. Spillers and Mr. Ben Michaels, correct?
Correct.
All right. And after seeing that video, you were concerned, correct?
Correct.
All right. So on December the 10th, let's talk about what else you did that day. Do you recall going out and seeing Chloe before talking to some other individuals that day? Or do you remember the order of how you did things that day?
I don't remember the
Okay.
order. Unfortunately, that was
That's okay.
almost 4 years ago.
Understood.
But I did talk to a lot of people that day, yes.
Okay, so you spoke to, you were contacted by Benyamin. Okay, and I believe you've already told us Ms. Renee Driver, correct?
Yes.
All right, and all of these phone calls actually are recorded, correct?
Everything's recorded.
All right, so they're all documented so that there can't be any dispute as to what was said. Is that
That's
fair?
correct.
All right. And you talked, then you went back out to talk to Chloe because you had promised her you were going to come back the next day.
And I did.
All right, and part of that was because she had asked to be able to speak with her mother and Benyamin, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and you, at that particular point in time, I think also read her Miranda warning again?
I did.
Okay, and that was prior to any of those phone calls?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Do you recall having any conversations with the doctors at Kennestone that day prior to talking with Ms. Driver, Ms. Chloe Driver?
I might have, yes.
Okay. Do you recall which doctors those were?
I'm sorry, I don't.
That's okay. Do you recall telling those doctors that that the people she was associating with made her feel paranoid?
No, I don't remember
Okay.
that.
If there's a recording or a transcript that indicates that, you have no reason to dispute that.
I would have no reason to dispute that.
Okay. Do you recall telling the doctors about that very video we were just talking about? Do you remember talking to them at all about that?
No,
Okay. But again, if it's in a transcript of
it would be on video recording.
Okay. And again, no reason to dispute any of that. Do you recall talking to these doctors about scenarios where a mom loses a child or anything like that?
No.
Okay. But again, if there's a recording of
If
it.
there's a recording of it, then absolutely.
Okay. And talking about how sometimes women use desperate measures.
Again,
Okay. I get it's 4 years ago, but if there's a recording.
if there's a recording, then yes.
Okay. Not trying to trip you up. I'm just.
Nope, you don't
All
have
right.
to.
So you went back and the first phone call you made was to Mr. Ben Michael, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And that was actually before you started talking to Chloe about any other questions or things you wanted to talk to her directly about, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And you contacted him and it took a minute for him to answer the phone, correct? Or
Yes.
took, yeah. And he was kind of, I think I heard you kind of going, Ben,
Hello?
Ben.
Yeah.
Like, and at that point he did not have his phone back, correct? It was a
He
different,
did not.
So that was a different phone that you had to call him on?
Yes, I think it would have been Jessica's phone that I called him
Jessica's
on.
phone. Okay. And in that conversation, you told him that she couldn't speak still or could only whisper,
Correct.
and that she was going to be writing down her questions and answers.
That's correct.
And then he understood that you were kind of going to be the middleman to navigate that conversation, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And during this interaction with him, was she crying?
Certain parts, yes.
Okay. And he, started asking her questions about when she went to get the knife. Do you recall that?
I do recall that.
All right. And, she also communicated, at least at that particular point in time, it took a little bit for them to get there, but that she told him that she did not feel like she had a choice.
That's correct.
All right. And that her response, he was not really understanding of what that meant. And so she responded, I felt safest and I felt horrible. I went because I had no choice. Is that your recollection?
That's correct.
All right. And then he asked her, why did you feel like you had no choice? And then she proceeded to write out that answer to you, correct?
That's correct.
And those answers are the ones that were admitted through the state's case, but you didn't alter in any way. That's all her handwriting.
That's
correct?
all her handwriting.
All right. And in fact, you were having to kind of jumble a bunch of paper to try to keep up with her at certain points in time.
Oh yeah, she was going really fast.
All right. And she wrote down at that point in time that she couldn't handle being with the group anymore and that you left no alternative with certain threats, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So when the word threats came out, did that raise another red flag to you?
Always.
All right. And you, his response was that he wasn't sure what anyone was referring to, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And then you tell him that you asked him to be truthful because you told him that you felt she was being truthful and honest in what she was writing down and communicating with you, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And she started talking about the other girls, their teachings, and blaming herself, I guess, for the world's pain.
That's correct.
All right. And how she wanted a normal life, but she didn't kind of articulate what that meant, correct?
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay. And that there was something about he was constantly telling her that she kept distracting and removing. Do you remember him saying that to her or her saying that to him? And,
Yes, I think she wrote it down.
and that you really weren't sure what she was talking about, but she kept reiterating that point to him. Is
That's
that fair
correct.
to say? Okay. Do you recall her writing down that, after Benyamin asked why, then she responded, "You refuse to listen"? Do you remember her saying that to him?
Yes.
All right. And telling him, "How many times did I state how I felt things would go if I remained in that state?" You recall that?
Yes.
And the words I think we saw earlier on the screen in her handwriting was that she screamed and begged to him, correct?
Yes.
And that you didn't take, and she thought he didn't take her seriously.
That's pretty accurate.
And then Mr. Benyamin Ben Michael was repeatedly kept pressing the why question. Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
And she was answering that. She was answering with her explanations of what was going on in her mind at that time, correct?
That is what she stated.
Okay. And then one of the things that she ended up saying prior to the conversation ended is that Benyamin taught her about the messed up inner layers and the
Black magic.
black magic that he was doing to their daughter, correct? Or to her, I think is what he said.
Right.
Okay. So you didn't know if he was talking about the child or to Chloe at that point in time.
I knew they were talking amongst each other.
Correct.
Not necessarily about Hannah.
Okay. But at that point in time, you kind of sensed that conversation really wasn't going anywhere, correct?
It wasn't going anywhere for me.
Okay. That's fair. But it was also upsetting her.
Tremendously.
It was, it was evoking a physical response.
That is correct.
And so you decided that was pretty much,
Yeah.
we're not going anywhere. And she actually said she had nothing else to say, correct?
Yes.
All right. And then at that end of that conversation, you start talking to her. The first thing I think you said is, "Okay, I have questions." Like you wanted to follow up on some of that stuff that you just heard.
Yes.
All right. And one of the things that you asked her about was the cuts on her hands.
That's correct.
Do you recall about how many cuts you noticed on her hands?
Just two.
Just two? Were there any on her left hand that you noticed?
Nope, it was just the right.
Okay. But you did make another note in that particular, on that particular day about the black eye again, correct?
I did.
All right. Did you happen to notice if any old marks or anything on her wrists?
I did not.
Okay. And you asked her about the black eye, correct?
Mhm.
And she said, "I don't know."
Yeah, she said she did not know.
And it's not uncommon for people who maybe have been abused or in that way to not identify somebody that might have hurt them, correct?
That's very common.
Okay. And at this point in time, you were trying to establish a rapport with her and get her to communicate with you because you were still in the throes of this wild investigation.
Yeah, I wanted to get more context on the whole situation.
Okay.
Hello, Miss Jody.
At one point in time, she told you that she was in the same state of mind
Sorry,
for
I was
about
in
2
another.
months.
Hello.
correct?
She wrote it down. the other
Hello.
day.
And that
Sorry, I was sending an email and I couldn't see the screen. And who's Lucy? Good morning, Lucy. Lovely to meet you. Welcome, welcome. We are just on the tail end of, not one of the most exciting testimonies, but the lead detective, Tanya Cruz from Canton Police Department. So yeah, it's been riveting stuff. Not. Yeah. She facilitated the phone call between Benyamin and Chloe's mother and father, because Chloe was in hospital and had the trachea tube in, and Chloe was writing down stuff. So, but I thought that was just inappropriate. Like, I think for the lead investigator in this case, it's a conflict of interest. It should have been handled by a nurse or a social worker or something, like you're not going to facilitate the lead investigator on a phone call with the suspect and the father. Like, yeah, that's what happened.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Canton again.
It's come out that in that the letters that she was writing, or the answers to, he came across very cold on the phone. He just wanted to know, what was going through her head, in those last minutes. And she said she felt she had no other option, and she had begged and pleaded with him, to just let her buy some land and live her life and spend time with her daughter. And yeah, she
was a bit over the foursome.
Yeah, she didn't want to be. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, pretty much. Wasn't an awesome foursome at all.
No.
She wanted to tap out. So yes, just watch this. The detective's eyes when she speaks. It's hysterical. I'm gonna have to do a compilation. We'll have to do it to a theme song.
That she indicated to you that she had felt
Very
like she kept getting
expressive.
worse and no one cared.
That's correct.
All right. And that was when I think you showed her that video we were talking about. And then again, that kind of evoked a
Physical response again. Yes.
and emotional too, right?
Yes.
Did she turn away and not want to watch it, or she just put her hand and waved?
I think she actually turned her head and put her hand out.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
making sense of everything. Yeah.
And based on that response, you followed up with that because you're trying to find out what was really going on in this relationship, correct?
I wanted to know all of the relationship.
Okay. And you asked her at that point in time, do you feel like he is controlling you? And what did she say? Or what did she write down?
Yes.
Okay. And then you asked her if, I think it was about the
And
CBD. There was some
thinks
discussion
she's
about
an 11.
CBD.
That's correct.
11
You
on the
had
hotness
indicated
scale.
that you had learned from one of your interviews.
He must
that
like
there's discussion about
Botox
medications or something like that.
I don't know. I think she's had an eye lift.
He gave her medications.
All right.
Yeah,
and then so you were
Lord.
asking Miss
Yeah.
Chloe Driver. I'm just going to call her Chloe.
Yeah,
Let's go that
I
way.
know. I think
About-
with the eyelids,
That's correct.
All right.
she's
At that point,
had an eye lift and they took too much.
I think that's her nationality. I can't see any scars.
Oh, is it?
No.
Oh, right.
And she definitely hasn't had Botox because her forehead's moving. You'll see the wrinkles.
Yeah, but
one time had you
Trust me, she ain't have it.
okay. Not under where the wrinkles are.
located or
I'll show you.
any of the supposed CBD or anything else like that?
So when we looked in the baby bag, it was in the baby bag, but I didn't know it was CBD.
See the frown?
I don't know
Oh,
what CBD
yeah.
looks like. So
Yeah. And it's not
let's talk about
shiny,
what was in the
and
baby
then
bag
this
for a second.
crease
is
I know we
big.
talked about the carrots and the identification and the cash.
Roller eyeballs.
In that
Oh, she
bag
just
that were not photographed,
Eyes.
correct?
that's correct.
All right, and one of those was the bottle that was, a bottle with a teardrop.
when I had heaps of Botox done for the first time, I went home to my kids and they're like, Mum, we can't tell if you're angry with us or not. And so I used to have to say, I'm very angry at you."
Angry.
It was hysterical.
A dropper, correct?
That's correct.
And then in preparation for this case, we learned that it had a label indicating it was in fact CBD, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then there was also that little, I don't know if it was glass or plastic, but that little jar of that orange substance, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then you understand that substance was field tested,
It was field tested, but
Okay.
not by me.
correct? But that, it didn't field test for anything other than CBD. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware.
Okay, but those things were in that diaper bag at that time too.
Yes.
Okay, and so when she started,
What time? 9:30.
What time? What?
9 o'clock tomorrow in Virginia is 1 a.m., isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Something like that.
All right.
started telling you about this CBD that she had been given by Mr. Spillers or Mr. Benyamin,
We may
that
have
stuff
a
actually was in that diaper
potential-
bag, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and that she told you that
potential time
when
frame.
she started that CBD, that it was an increase in paranoia, correct?
Yeah, I think she believes she said she got worse.
Yeah. And then you asked if Jason had ever hurt her, correct?
Yes.
And you were correct. You asked if it was Mr. Spillers, correct?
Hey, guys.
All right, and that was after you had already talked to Benjamin and Mr. Spillers, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and she told you that he had hurt her maybe once or twice, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then that's where you also learned that additional information about that Asheville incident, correct?
I had already known about the Asheville incident.
No, but that she brought it up to you.
Yeah, she brought it up.
Okay,
Yes.
because prior to that, you had learned about it from an
Evil,
independent source, but not necessarily spoken to Ms. Driver.
Correct.
All right. And she told you at that time that she didn't trust them and that she felt scared.
Yes.
Okay. And she didn't tell you who them was, but she didn't use the, a singular in that sense. It was them.
It was just them. And I asked her who. She didn't give it to me.
She didn't want to give it to you. And that she also told you at that particular.
Not being racist or anything, but people with she's got a Fitzpatrick at least 4, and the darker the skin, the more likely you are to scar as well. So yeah, there's no eyelid surgery there. Just looking elsewhere. I don't think she's even had lips done. They have beautiful lips anyway.
Yeah.
Particular time that she just wanted to die with her daughter.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
And
wrinkles.
throughout these 2 days that you spent with her, she was emotional.
Very.
She was crying.
Yep.
And was indicating some level of remorse for after realizing what had happened. Correct?
I don't know if it was an indication of remorse.
But I will say, hello. I will say I was watching Karen Reid's.
But
Karen
she was.
hearing,
Oh, yes.
when I
Karen
got
Reid's
home.
hearing, yeah.
And I was looking at the back of. Yes.
No. Who'd have seen
It's like-
love?
Just like the attorney had a beautiful smile and lovely set of teeth. Yes, they do have beautiful lips. I will give you that. Yes, I was looking at the back of the new attorney's head, as he was talking to Bev. He's had a facelift. You can see the scar behind his ear.
I bet he doesn't know that.
New one, Brennan.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. The old nursing skills.
Showing an emotional and
She
physical
was.
response that you could see and document. Is that
Absolutely.
fair to say? Okay. And then you decided it would be a good time to contact her mom.
Yes.
Okay. And she, at that point, had not talked to, as far as you knew, she had not talked to her mom, Renee or Eric Driver, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And again, we
Very
think that the
expressive.
first time she talked to someone on the phone was with Benyamin with you, correct? As far as we know.
That's correct.
But she certainly didn't have a cell phone.
She
there.
certainly didn't have a cell phone.
And she was in the ICU
That's correct.
and didn't have a phone or anything that you could tell within reaching distance from
Yes.
Not that I saw.
That hospital room that she was in, they're saying was the ICU. Now, in Australia, if you're in an ICU, you must at all times have a nurse in there with you 24 hours a day. No excuse. Even on your lunch break, you must make sure that there is a nurse that is covering for you. You cannot even go to the toilet without making sure someone's covering. And she was in there with just the detective. No nurse. And then the nurse comes in and didn't even know her name. Yeah, mhm. And they left rubbish
Bit of
all
a
over
worry.
the floor. It was awful. It was OD in me.
So you were able to get her mom, Renee Driver, on the phone.
In
And
hospital
there was a little
quarters
bit of
any day.
difficulty, at least talking to her. So she suggested to do a FaceTime.
That's correct.
All right. And so you did that FaceTime call with, on your phone?
Yes.
Okay.
On my work phone.
All right. And she immediately kind of had another emotional response to seeing her mom.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. And she, upon seeing her mom,
Yep.
or first hearing her voice and then deciding a FaceTime call would be better.
I had an
She had
officer
written
outside
down,
the
I'm
door
sorry,
on
I
his
told her I
phone.
should have stayed.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
And then, one of the things that also came out, and that was that Renee asked you point blank, like, did she do these injuries to herself? Because she didn't necessarily know. So she asked you that, correct? On that FaceTime call, do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was when you communicated to her that she had, in fact, at least as far as you knew from your investigation thus far, that they were self-inflicted.
That's correct.
I should do a compilation and go and ask a question and then have her give a response. How funny would that be? Absolutely correct.
Mm.
Okay. Did you become become aware of what exactly
that'll
Ms.
be good.
Driver's injuries were, or how many wounds there were?
So I saw the 2 wounds while taking the pictures, but I did not actually get the medical records until much later. So I did not know of the internal
my
actually
God,
injuries
really?
until I read the reports.
Wow.
But did you, when you reviewed those
Terrible.
are the Kennestone records?
That's
Mm.
correct.
Okay, so did you review, when you reviewed those reports, I think you're indicating those internal injuries that would have included the collapsed lung, correct?
That's correct.
All right, but there was notes about the, I think, 4 or 5 stab wounds to her neck.
Mhm.
Do you recall that?
I do recall that, yes.
And then the one on her
Chest.
Okay. And when you took that picture of her on the side, it was because of how they had to, for surgery, do you recall which one I'm talking about? I can show you.
I know the back picture you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a bandage on her side. Do you recall if that was from one of the
I don't
wounds?
recall if it was from surgery or not. I can only assume that it was from surgery.
Okay, but she also had that trach, correct?
That's correct.
And she had a
Feeding tube.
what I can presume would be a catheter.
Yep.
And she
So
was hooked up to the
nasogastric.
whole 9 yards.
That's correct.
All right, and so she really couldn't get up and move around on her own or anything else like that.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So does that mean she was
Let's
detained?
talk about what else
Well,
you did
well, there was a cop there.
Okay.
Yep.
Give me 1 second. Do you recall when you spoke to Brian's parents? Do you remember when that was?
It would have been a couple of days after.
Okay. And you also talked to someone, and you don't need to tell me anything about the contents of that, but someone by the name of Lauren Paget?
I talked to a lot of people, yes.
Okay. But that name sounds familiar?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you recall receiving an additional phone call from Jason Spillers on December the 11th of 2020?
Might have recording of it. I don't know.
Okay. But it wasn't something, you don't have an independent recollection of you calling?
You'd
him?
remember a phone call from him.
Absolutely.
All right. And so you got back to your office and found out that he had called and you called him back, correct?
Possibly, yes.
All right. But you don't remember the specific contents of that call?
No.
Okay.
She wasn't talking to the real Jason then, was she?
Or she tuned out.
And I believe we already started talking about this, but
Oh, that's
Mr. and
so
Mrs.
sad
Driver
to have.
did not live in Georgia, correct?
In Australia, the ratio in a nurse to patient is 1-to-1. Like there is no excuse. You cannot admit another patient if you cannot supply the nursing staff to cover it, and that's terrible. I mean, there's criteria that you need to meet to actually be not eligible, but you know what I mean. Like you have to be a certain level of-
License,
no, you have to
accredited.
be a certain level of care to be admitted to the ICU, and that criteria then correlates to the nurse to patient ratio. And you're on, obviously, you're either you have a trachea tube or you have breathing tube in. So you are being, your life is being supported mechanically by machines and the
Machines.
staff, that are looking after you, and you constantly need to monitor that shit. You can't walk away. That's yeah, you can't. That's disgusting.
They did not.
So they had been in communication with you throughout that week, correct?
That's correct.
And they had sent you some emails with additional information kind of every step of the way, correct?
Sorry.
Correct.
And you actually had set up a time, once you figured out that
I
not
would
one
look
of them could
after him.
physically visit Chloe in the hospital, you set up a time to sit down and talk to them, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and then they came down to your office?
That's correct.
All right, and you conducted, again, another recorded interview?
That's correct.
All right, and I think you said at that particular point in time is when they might have given you another copy or given you the video at that.
And our intensive care, if you're in a public hospital, it's free.
Yeah.
Most of our big trauma centres are public. They're free.
Particular time?
So I know at that particular time, she was stating that she had spoken to Ben Michael's mom and that she had some text messages. And I said, can you please send those to me?
Okay, do you recall whether or not you received those text messages?
Yeah.
Yes, they're in my
like it.
case file.
Oh, okay. Do you remember reviewing them in this particular case?
Yes,
Okay, but you're saying they're part of the actual case file?
they are.
I think the main issue in our healthcare system pretty much is mental health. And homelessness probably. Yeah, they're not very well covered. But as far as trauma and surgical and
Well, I mean, under
intensive
the
cares and stuff,
government health, yeah, I mean, in an emergency and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, it's
Yeah.
nothing, yeah, all free. But then there's things like, you know, what they class as
elective
not
surgeries,
urgent.
yes.
Elective surgery, yes, like having your
Yeah.
gallstones
Yeah.
out or
No.
something like that, you know.
That'd be an emergency surgery. That'd be free. But you can opt to go public or private if you've got private health insurance.
Yeah,
But
that's
the
right.
best funded, like I would go to, if I had a car accident, and I would be at the Alfred, which is a public hospital, every day of the week.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
I would not go to a private hospital. In fact, our private hospitals, they don't have. They actually rely a lot on
Public hospitals.
no casual staffing. So there's, you know, we have like nursing agencies over here, so they actually run a lot on agency staff. So not always do they know the procedures and, you know, where everything is and what's going on, and they've got no idea. So whereas in a public hospital, everything is, you know,
Yeah, that's it.
yes, no, ours isn't. It's completely separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, yeah. The only thing
Well, it
you
is
do
related to our jobs in one way because it's a 2% Medicare levy.
yeah,
If
well, that's if you
got
earn a
taxable
certain
income.
amount, yes, you get a Medicare levy, but you can opt to have health insurance, and the only thing you need to do starting a business over here is pay your own superannuation. That's the main thing that you lose out on when you're not in a full-time position employment with someone else. But there's other, you know, there's other perks to it. You know, you get to claim all your GST and keep your taxable income low and all that sort of stuff.
Cash jobs.
Correct. Yes. I think our super's at like 12% now too, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Oh.
As this investigation continued, you also reached out to the Bristol Police.
As long as you got the money here, Teresa, you can have private health
I'm going to
insurance.
show you.
Doesn't necessarily mean you get better care though.
No.
And there's always out of pockets.
Mm-hmm.
What are we on? 14? 13. What has been marked? Defense 14? Oh, gosh. May I first witness? Yes.
Yep, these are both from me, and I would have submitted this to the Bristol Police Department and the Bristol Buncombe County Social Services for the records.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So one of your requests in that email was requesting information for any and all reports on Mr. Brian Elliott Joyce, correct?
That's correct.
And you also gave his alias, correct?
That's correct.
I guess he refers to that as his legal name, Benyamin Eliyahu.
That is his legal name.
Legal name, but he was born
Brian
Elliott
Joyce.
Joyce. Okay. And you provided his date of birth and referenced what the investigation was for, correct?
I did.
All right. And you also indicate that you sent an email to the Buncombe County Social Work Services Office. And where's Buncombe County?
I believe it's in North Carolina.
All right. So
Buncombe
then maybe
County.
the Asheville, North Carolina area.
Bunkum.
Okay. That might have
Did you
been
see
based
what
on
the
the
spell-
information you had learned from
What
those
the
Asheville
CC said to that? Bumham County.
Yeah.
Services Office. And where's Buncombe County?
I believe it's in North Carolina.
All right. So then maybe the Asheville, North Carolina area.
I would assume so.
Asheville.
Okay. And that might have been based
Asheville.
on the information you had learned from those Asheville police reports, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Bumham County and Asheville.
And you ultimately did receive information from both of those departments?
Yep.
I did.
I went there. Benyamin.
Sounds like Osama bin
All right,
Laden a
let's
bit,
talk
doesn't
about
it?
Yeah.
some of the other things that you did on the 14th of December. One of the things you did was you spoke to a young lady named Gabrielle Kuykendall, correct?
I did.
All right, and
First
then you also
one.
spoke to another young lady named Brett Tabor, correct?
That's
Or
correct.
Tabar. All right, and
Yeah.
actually after those conversations is when you generated
Yeah.
those emails.
Bumham. Bumham County and Assville. Sorry, I know. I'm going to turn you all, trust me. You will come to the dark side.
That's correct.
That's correct.
All right. And the purpose for you when you spoke to Ms. Kuykendall was that you were concerned about an abuse aspect as far as Chloe goes. Is that what you communicated to Ms. Kuykendall?
Absolutely.
All right. And that you were interested in finding out the backstory, correct?
I wanted to know the context of the full relationship
All right. The full relationship with,
between Chloe and Benyamin.
okay. But you also got, both of those phone calls were in fact recorded too, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And you called Ms. Kuykendall and were asking for the backstory specifically related to Chloe, correct?
That's correct.
But also with respect to Ms. Kuykendall, correct?
That's correct.
And that's based on information you had generated
Teresa,
thus
you were
far in your
already there.
investigation. That was where your investigation was leading at that point in time.
That's correct.
All right. And you specifically asked her that you wanted to hear about why she ended up leaving that relationship, correct?
You had me.
Yes.
Hello.
And at that point in time, you told Ms. Kuykendall that Benyamin was not a suspect at that time.
He wasn't.
Okay, but that you believe that he could have played a part in what happened, so you were concerned about that, and that's why you wanted to talk to her.
That's correct.
All right, and that interview again was recorded.
That was recorded.
All right. I'm gonna go back to this. Let's bring up. Where are we at, John?
I'm sick of this prosecutor's voice.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to admit number 13, Judge. The emails.
I've got it on 1.25 as well.
Any objection to D13? Yeah. D13 is admitted.
All right. Well, I think Clumsy's laying on my vape. I can't find it anywhere. And I'm going to put the kettle on, so maybe 2 seconds. Piddly pip.
We don't hate anybody, Udahev.
Does anyone feel bad for the woman or
May I push the witness?
for Chloe? Yeah, no.
Look at that look there. That's a good look.
Yeah, bad pause, bad pause. I do actually feel sorry for her. I do. I don't excuse at all what she did. At all. But I think she definitely tried to ask for help and none was given. It was all, feelings and hugs and shit, and no one actually addressed her needs or her wants or her concerns. And she clearly wrote in those letters that, she didn't want Hannah. She even mentioned something like black magic. I feel bad.
I just don't get how you could commit suicide by stabbing yourself to death. I'm sure there's some more easier freaking ways to do it. Like, honestly, there's got to be easier ways.
Well, maybe I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm a sucker.
I know, even the way she's done her hair, like she's pulled that centre bit back and it looks like she's got 2 little devil's horns there, mate. And look at her eyes. No, I mean, I just don't understand how anybody could do that to a baby, no matter what stage you're at with mental health, I'm afraid.
And after reading that medical examiner report,
yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's funny like that. You got to be, What comes first?
I think she's
What comes first?
I think she's probably feeling bad that she survived, to be honest. I really do.
Oh, she did. She was upset about
Yeah.
that afterwards.
Yeah.
She said that to that doctor. Yeah.
And I mean, she didn't just give it like a half-assed go. There was 3 stab wounds to her neck and 1 to her chest.
Oh, herself.
Yeah.
Herself, or yeah. That's right. Like, I don't know if I stabbed myself in somewhere, the neck or whatever.
Yeah, you'd go.
I don't know whether I could
give up, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think I could do the second one.
No. No.
I think
Yeah,
it'd be
so-
difficult.
So to actually be in that state of mind where you can actually
do that to
cause
yourself and the baby.
that harm, then what level of sanity are you at to
Yeah.
make rational decisions? Yeah.
Exactly.
Anywho, I'm going to have a pee and I'm not going to drink it.
Cool. Good idea. Though there's hundreds of thousands and millions of people doing it these days.
Well, apparently so. Apparently so. We'll have to get our guru back up.
Hey, my dad swore by it for his tinea.
Oh, look, my dad as well. The same in the shower. Fixes everything. Everything on your feet, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Yep. And jellyfish bites. But that's only because it contains a lot of ammonia. You're supposed to put vinegar on them.
I was going to say, supposed to put
If
vinegar
you've
on
got
it.
no vinegar, then, you know.
Oh, pee on it. Okay.
Yes. Yes. You know the stingers from the jellyfish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tentacles.
All right. I really have to go, or I'm going
No, he said $500 million new to have.
Yeah.
He counted them all in New York.
Yes, he did. That's right. I'm gonna need a channel lady in a minute.
All right, Detective Cruz. Okay, all right, I'm showing you 2 different documents.
That's
I'm gonna
correct.
put those up there with you. Can you identify what's marked as defense 14 for me, please?
It is a financial crimes enforcement network request for research on a specific individual.
Okay, and who are the specific individuals listed in that report?
Ben Michael, Benyamin, and Nicole Driver. And then Christian Ministries Trust and Children of Christ Trust.
In that, is there identifying information with respect to both of those individuals?
There is.
Okay, is there identifying information with respect to the accounts or specific financial information you were seeking?
Yes.
Okay, I would at this time move to admit defense 15, 14, 15.
Is it 2 exhibits?
Yes, I did. I marked them separately.
15 is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Analysis Center form. So this is a different form than the
Correct,
financial
but
crime
that's another
form.
one you generated on the same date and time?
That's correct.
All right, and whose names are on that one?
Brian Elliott Joyce or Benyamin.
Okay, and do you know what the dates of those requests were?
They would have been on the same date. Yeah, the same date as this one.
Okay, and I think that's December 14th.
That's correct.
And that this is just a process that you have to go through as a law enforcement agency to obtain sensitive information like financial information or that kind of thing. You just can't serve a subpoena on that kind of thing.
You cannot do that.
All right, so you have to submit those forms to the GBI and let them kind of vet that information before they'll release that to you, correct?
That's correct.
All right. At this time, I'll move to tender those as exhibits. No objection.
Events 14 and 15 are admitted.
We would request a published judge.
Yes.
All right, so this is just the page 1, which is the face sheet with your information, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and part of this process, you actually have to get your supervisor to certify that they are in support of you doing this, correct?
That's correct.
And in order to do that, there's got to be some sort of basis or in the investigation to do that. Like you just can't.
I can't submit it on my own.
Okay. And the investigative information in this particular case was sought for a criminal investigation, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And the subject information, as you've already told us, was that this was for Benyamin Ben Michael.
That's
And-
correct.
And you provided the identifying information that you had. And also known as, I think it's the Olorian Christ Trust.
Correct.
All right. And that's a name of one of the trusts that you would come across in your investigation, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And the next one is is Miss Driver's, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And there was also some additional information regarding these trusts that you would come across in your investigation, correct?
That's correct.
And then one of them included this Christian Ministries Trust?
Yes,
Okay. And then the next one was the Children of Christ Trust, correct?
that's correct.
And they all have the same address. Did you notice that?
No, they didn't.
The
One
well,
was Tamiami Trail, and then this one was Bristol, Connecticut. That's Sarasota, Florida.
correct, but the
Jacksonville, Florida was, or I'm sorry, Bristol was for Chloe's driver's address, and then his address was in Clinton.
Okay, but they were all related to those trusts, correct? They had different addresses.
Different
related-
addresses,
depending
different
on
trust
which trust.
names
Okay, and different bank accounts that you could tell.
that I could tell.
Okay, and the one bank account that you were able to ascertain with respect to Mr. Ben Michael and Ms. Driver was that Wells Fargo account that we talked about earlier, correct?
Correct,
And that account is the one that ended in the 6656, correct?
correct.
And that one was identified as the Children of Christ Trust, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and during your investigation in this matter, that you had learned that one of the things Ms. Driver was saying was that Mr. Ben Michael had her take out a loan or like the economic COVID loan at this particular point in time. That was one of your questions.
That was correct.
One of the, I think 501c something that they were running as these spirituality nonprofits, whatever you want to call it.
Correct.
All right. And so your investigation led you to request those financial aspects because it was part of this case, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then we were shown some receipts earlier today regarding this Wells Fargo account. All right. Well, let me ask you this while the state looks those over. Did you turned over those phones for the cell phone dumps with the sheriff's office, correct?
That's correct.
Did you ever review those reports from the phone dumps at all?
I might have.
Okay.
Again, it was 4 years ago, so I'm sorry if I don't remember.
You don't remember if those were part of it? Okay. All right. That's okay.
Yeah, 16. Yeah. 16.
Do you want me to mark them separately or? What? Do we need to take them up individually or? No. Okay. I'm going to show you what I'm marking as D16. This is not what you might need to read glasses, so let's test your sight.
I'll be okay.
All right.
It says Children of Christ Trust, Chloe A. Driver, TTE, Benyamin Ben Michael, TTE, Virginia account terms and conditions apply. And then they have a $98,600 balance, or actually minus $101,199.87, which leaves them $207.13.
And can you read what the last four digits of that account number were?
Sure, 6656.
Okay, so that Wells Fargo
Do you want me to
account.
read these two?
We'll get to that.
Okay, perfect.
So that Wells Fargo account that we were talking about earlier actually had Mr. Benyamin Ben Michael's name on that account as well, correct?
That's correct.
And it was under the Children of Christ Trust as well, correct?
That's correct.
All right. All right, so if you want to identify the next one?
This says Wells Fargo, account number 6656, available balance $99,907.90. And then it has obviously pending transactions right below it.
Okay. And on the bottom, can you indicate where, does it identify another trust associated?
It does. They are transferring from the Olorian Christ Trust, $50,000. And it looks like two transactions, but it might just be one.
Okay, but what are the dates on those?
10/2/20. And then this one is an everyday checking from Wells Fargo, checking number 5702. Bill balance of $544.79 on that fully saved one, and then the 6656 everyday checking $99,907.90.
Okay, so that 6656 account has both of their names on it under a trust.
Under a trust.
Okay. Let's see. Judge, I'll move to admit defense 16 at this time and request to publish. Yes, ma'am.
No objection.
Look, and I found it.
You're back.
That's the information that you just read?
Yes.
Okay.
did I miss?
Nothing.
Yeah, she's a riveting
Right, and
witness.
then again, that's the.
Oh,
check
man.
In the 6656 that we were
What are
talking
they
about.
introducing
That's
now?
correct.
And then there's reference that they were transferring, someone at least was
A
transferring.
bank
scroll
accounts,
down,
transferring money
Oh,
between trusts
The
and crap.
$50,000, potentially 2 times.
Potentially.
From the Lori.
Okay, I'm going to go get a knife so I can
Right, and
stab
then you
myself 3
testified
times.
in the, financial documents that I showed you that you were requesting, one of the entities you were investigating was that Lorian Price Trust, correct?
Listed?
That's correct.
And that's the one that it appears.
We
to
know
be
they were
Mr.
evading
Benyamin
tax.
Ben Michael's name, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
That's pretty much what her testimony is.
What's she saying?
Well,
Oh, no, there's probably some. I'm going to go
he's
have a.
basically just spreading his assets through his wives, so he doesn't have to pay tax on them. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of them work.
Yeah, because over there, like, you know how we have rates, which are our property taxes, and we have land tax if you own a shit ton of land, not us normal people. And over there, their yearly taxes, which has to be similar to our rates. It's like, really, we think ours are bad when they're $2,000 a year or something. There's a heap more.
Well, they didn't own any property. They just moved from here to there and bludged off other people's.
Yeah, well, then why would he have to pay? Oh, you're just talking income tax. That's why
Yeah,
you
they
have in the
didn't want to pay any
trust.
tax on anything, so he's distributed his income.
But they're not working. How do they
Across his
pay
wives.
tax anyway? But he's not working.
No, but he got $150,000 payout for some COVID.
Oh, the business relief or something. Yes.
But then he distributed it amongst his 4 wives because then it's not a taxable level, you know?
Yeah, it keeps him below the
Taxable
threshold. Gotcha.
income. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So, all right, let's go to the next witness. Executive decision made.
Well, I'm going to go for a quick.
Mhm.
Won't be long.
No worries. Mate, I'm good.
All right, call your next witness, please.
Deanna Jarrett.
Deanna Jarrett is the last state witness before they rest their case.
Can you raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall
Oh,
give the truth, the whole
absolutely.
truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Okay, can I see? Can you state your name and spell?
National Athlete.
It's Deanna Jarrett, DeAnna Jarrett.
And Ms. Jarrett, how are you?
Ratings you
I'm a
have?
senior investigator assigned to the Special Victims Unit with the Cherokee County District Attorney's Office.
Right, and what does it mean to be an investigator with the District Attorney's Office?
We gather all things involved in an investigation. We request and gather the reports, the videos, and 911 calls. So basically, we just gather
That's what I'm
everything,
saying.
medical records, and we
Rating?
compile that to assist in the prosecution of the case.
Okay, are you a post-certified police officer?
I am.
All right, and how long have you been employed with the District Attorney's Office?
I've been with the District Attorney's Office for 14 years.
All right, and prior to that, how were you employed?
I started my career in 2002 with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. And then I left there in 2010 and came to the District Attorney's Office.
Okay, and in terms of the function of your role as a post-certified investigator with the District Attorney's Office, what does that look like in terms of working together with the investigating agency, like in this case, Canton Police Department? Once they make an arrest, how does that sort of impact your role and how you interact with that agency?
So we are here to assist the law enforcement agencies during or after the arrest. We further investigate because once they make the arrest, they still investigate the case, but there's some things that they can't do that we are able to further investigate, such as reviewing, in this case, cell phone extraction.
Pause. You are definitely an optimist and not a pessimist, aren't you? Yes, you do. But that's not a bad thing.
And listening to jail calls and things like that. We have a good relationship with our local law enforcement officers, and they usually involve us on the front end, which is very helpful to the investigation and prosecution of the case.
Okay, how long have you been involved in this case?
Since the incident date of December the 8th of 2020.
Okay, and what was your involvement in that case on December the 8th?
So the Special Victims Unit was created in October of 2020, and I was assigned as the investigator to the unit. Oftentimes, law enforcement will reach out to us with certain cases, and they reached out to us in this case. And so members of our office traveled to the Canton Police Department on the incident date.
On December the 8th?
Yes.
Okay, what was happening at the police department when you went there on December the 8th?
They were conducting the interviews. All parties were brought to the Canton Police Department for interviews to further the investigation.
Okay. Did you participate in those interviews or just observe?
I just observed those interviews.
Okay.
It's an Asheville accent.
And have you been consistently assigned as the investigator on this case with the district attorney's office since that date?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you mentioned that sort of one of your responsibilities as an investigator with the district attorney's office is to review the evidence
Why am I
that is provided,
doing this
including
myself?
cell phone extractions. Did you do that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we talked about Ms. Driver's cell phone in State's Exhibit 115. As part of your work on this
There's
case,
plenty of
did
them
you
out there
receive
to
the
have
complete cell phone extraction from that device?
Yes, ma'am. I did. I collected those from the Canton Police Department, their evidence department.
Okay.
Good on
And
you.
we heard testimony from Lindsay Harris, the digital forensics
We women
expert who
think-
extracted that device. But when you are going through the device, are you familiar with what's known as the UFED reader?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
So the UFED reader, it actually allows us to open the cell phone extraction itself, and we're able to view the items within the cell phone. It actually allows us to search for certain terms and create reports like searched items, text messages. We can narrow down the search and pull and create reports.
Okay. And so when you were starting sort of your analysis and generating of smaller reports from that device, I think we previously heard there was an 84,000 page report generated at one point by Ms. Harris. But as it relates to narrowing it to a more relevant scope to the allegations in this case, did you have a sort of a starting point for what you were looking at?
I did. So in Detective Cruz's report, part of my job is also to review all the reports. And in reviewing those, she had completed a search and she notated in her report that she had searched the cell phones and she had located some terms that were searched in the phone. So what I did is I took the phone and I further searched those items and pulled the reports. Because Detective Cruz, she did not pull the reports, but she did notate that she observed those items within the phone.
Okay. And when you use the term pull the reports, are you meaning generate like a smaller report with specific criteria pulled from the phone?
Yes, it forms a PDF, a viewable PDF form.
Okay. I'm going to hand you. Members witness? Yes. I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 128 through 132. Can you look at these and tell me whether you recognize those documents?
Yes, ma'am.
What are these?
These are the reports that I generated using the UFED reader, using key terms.
Okay. And do these truly and accurately reflect condensed data that you pulled from the phone extraction from Chloe Driver's device here, States 115?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender States 128 through 132. No objection.
All right, 128 through 132 are admitted.
I think I put myself in timeout.
Like the published States Exhibit 128.
Go ahead.
All right, Jared. What are we looking at here?
So this is an extraction report that I generated. And so the searched item was kill. So this is the report that the UFED reader generated.
Okay, so you were able to go into that UFED reader,
Yes,
do
no
search
fun.
term for the word kill, and these are the things that populated?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in item number 1, which is the left column where they're numbered, what was the term searched on her phone?
Killing somebody to save them.
Okay, and what was the date of that?
November the 25th of 2020.
Okay. And then in 2 and 3, we see
Good luck
the
to her,
same
I
search
say.
terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then in line 4, what was searched?
Killing because the world is fake.
All right. And this is a 1-page report that you generated with 8 searched items. Was that all of the information that related to the word kill?
Yes, ma'am. As far as the searched items, yes, ma'am.
Okay, you said as far as the searched items, are there different places in the phone or categories of content you can go look in?
There are on the left-hand side when you're doing or you're searching the phone. There are different categories that you can search within. You can search within text messages. You can search within web history, web searches, and you can also search in searched items. So this was inside the searched items in the phone.
Okay, so you narrowed the word kill in the things that have been searched on that phone.
Yes, ma'am.
I just realized she's an admin on here, so she can see the comments I've deleted anyway. Oh, my bad.
All right, I'm gonna publish States Exhibit 129. What are we looking at in States Exhibit 129?
This is an extraction from the cell phone. Neck was the key term used. This is something also that Detective Cruz had notated in her report, so that's why I searched for neck.
Okay, and in line item 1, what do we see was searched and on what date?
How to snap a neck, and that was on December the 2nd of 2020.
Okay, and had that same term been searched on prior dates?
Yes, also on November the 30th of 2020.
And then let's go to publish States Exhibit 130. And
show you her ring?
How is this web history report in States Exhibit 130 different from the searched items report we just looked at?
So like I explained earlier, this was the search within the web history rather than the searched items. So I put in the keyword neck inside the web history to search for that.
Okay. And does this show in line 1, is that a Google search?
It is.
And what did you search?
It's how to snap a neck.
Okay. And what was the date of that?
That was December the 2nd of 2020.
Okay. And then in web history, does it also show websites that are visited?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So in line 2, what was the sort of website that was visited in relation to the search term neck?
It's the www.quora.com. And it returned how hard is it to kill someone by twisting their neck. And this is movies, make it look really easy. How much force would be needed as a question.
All right. And what was the date of that?
That was December the 2nd of 2020.
Okay. And then item 3, is that a similar webpage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then items 4 and 5, is that the same Quora website you already referenced?
It is. It appears the date is different.
Okay. That was visited on multiple dates?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me go back to the first one. We have the first one being December the 2nd in line item 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then in line item 3?
December the 1st, 2020.
Okay. And item 4?
December the 1st, 2020.
And item 5?
It is November the 30th of 2020.
Okay. And item 6?
November the 30th of 2020.
Okay.
As well as 7.
Item 7 is, what is that?
That is a Google search.
Okay. Another Google search of how to snap a neck?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And item 8?
November the 30th of 2020, how to snap a neck.
And then what are these at the bottom?
These appear to be links to Walmart. I'm not sure, maybe.
There's your Walmart reference.
The word neck may be embedded
in
the item.
Okay.
Or it might have been, yes, it is embedded. I see it. It could be an item related to a neck.
Okay.
She was suffering from something. Most definitely.
All right. And then those were specific to a key term. Are you also able, in going through the UFED reader of the larger phone extraction, to narrow searched items based upon a particular date range?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you asked to generate a report of all searches on her device for a particular date range?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the date range that you generated?
I believe that was November the 1st of 2020 to the incident date of December the 8th of 2020.
Okay. So in States Exhibit 131, that's already been
charge?
edited, we have a 61-page report. Is this everything that her searched terms between November 1st of 2020 until the incident date of December 8th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And does this larger report contain?
She's charged with malice murder, not first degree. I don't know what the difference is. Hang on. Chloe is facing multiple charges, including unaliving and child cruelty. So maybe that's all it says.
The searched items, killing someone to save them, killing someone because the world is fake, are they contained in this larger search term report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. November 1st of 2020 to December the 8th. Yes. All right. And in States Exhibit 61, which is the all the search terms, were there search terms in there that indicated Ms. Driver might be looking to travel in any way?
Yes, ma'am. There were searches about a bus ticket, traveling with a child. I don't know if child was the actual term. It might have been baby, or it may have had her age, but.
Okay. I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 131. All right, and on page 51, starting with search item 547, what was she searching?
547 was 12 tribes, community, single, woman with baby.
Okay, and what was the date of that?
That was November the 22nd of 2020.
Okay. And then item 551, what was she searching?
What does the Bible say about having more than one wife?
Okay. And in item 557,
can God forgive me for being with a married man? Excuse me.
okay. And in item 561,
Can God forgive me for harming my husband?
all right. Were you asked to generate a report specifically with regard to anything involving CBD?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay, I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 132. All right. And this indicates it's searched items, so these things that would have been searched on his driver's device?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and starting with item number 1, what was searched and on what date?
Does CBD work first time? And that was on September the 12th of 2020.
Okay, and item number 2?
Does CBD work first time? September the 12th, 2020.
Okay, and 3?
Does CBD help with anger issues? September the 12th, 2020.
Right, and item 4?
Does CBD help with anger issues? September 12th, 2020.
Okay, item 5?
Breastfeeding with CBD oil experience, September the 8th of 2020.
Okay, and number 6?
Breastfeeding with CBD oil experience, September 8th of 2020.
Okay, and are the next several the same date and same search term?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Looks appears, yes.
And then the item 10?
CBD oil and therapy for mental illness.
Okay, and do you know why that doesn't populate with a date in this extraction report?
I'm not sure exactly. It could be, it's my understanding it could be various reasons. Maybe the breeder didn't import it over. Could have been something that was deleted. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay, and then the item searched after that?
How long is CBD in breast milk?
Okay, and number 12?
Does CBD help with depression?
Okay, and then finally number 13?
I breastfed baby on CBD.
Okay. All right. With regard to the CBD in this case, I think we asked Mr. Spillers yesterday, State's 87. Are you familiar with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this small container, where was this located?
That was in the diaper bag.
Okay. And was that the diaper bag that we saw in the scene photos next to Ms. Driver?
Yes,
where Ms.
ma'am.
Driver and the baby were? Okay. And did you at any time request for any testing to be conducted on that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And who did you request that of?
I contacted the Cherokee Multi-Agency Narcotics Squad, and Agent McNeely came over to conduct a field test of the substance.
Okay. And what did you ask him to test it for?
We wanted to find out what the substance was. It was suspected to be CBD, but we wanted to have it tested.
Okay. And did he test it?
He did conduct the test.
We're stipulating for this. Right?
Yes.
Your Honor, we've stipulated to the admissibility of State's Exhibit 133, which I would tender at this time.
All right.
All right. And publishing States 133, what did that substance test positive for?
It field tested positive for CBD.
And was your request of him to just test it for whatever substance it was?
Yes, the field test, they test for multiple substances, but it returned positive for CBD only.
And that was part of the narcotics squad that did that for you?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to speak to you about sort of your role as an investigator taking this case over post-arrest. Are you aware of when Chloe Driver was arrested and booked into the jail?
Yes, that was on December the 22nd of 2020.
Okay. And were you already working on this case and assigned to this case at that time?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And is part of your role at the district attorney's office to monitor phone communications of any inmates?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you do that with regard to Ms. Driver?
Yes, I did.
And when did you become aware of, well, let me back up. How does the phone system in the Cherokee County Detention Center work?
So they use a system called Fusion. And so when someone comes in, when they're arrested, they come through booking. And there are phones inside the booking area where they can call out. These phones are recorded, but they're at no cost. Once it's determined that a person is not being released for various reasons, what they'll do is they'll be placed in a different location. There are other phones throughout the jail at the Adult Detention Center, and those phones require a code. It's like a 4-digit code that is assigned to each inmate and that allows them to call out. So the Fusion system allows us to go in and search calls underneath the inmate's name. We can also search by number.
Okay. You indicated that the booking phones, when people first enter and are booked in, those are not linked to anybody's account?
They are not. They don't require the PIN. That's not until they're in population.
Okay. So anybody can call from those phones and it's not searchable by an inmate's name?
That is correct.
Okay. And when did you become aware of the first phone calls of Ms. Driver that were linked to an account associated with Ms. Driver?
So periodically, I would be checking the calls under her account, and on February the 22nd, I was able to locate a phone number for her, or a phone number that she had called. And in listening to that, she had called. The actual call was made on the 18th, so 4 days prior.
Okay. And so on the 22nd, you located a phone call she had made on what date?
February the 18th of 2021.
Okay. So February the 18th of 2021 is the first phone call that you detected on her own account?
Yes.
And are you familiar with who she was calling?
Yes, I did not recognize the number, but I did recognize the voice. And I was able to determine that was Benyamin Ben Michael.
Okay. And what was the date of that call?
That call was on the first one that I located was February the 18th of 2021.
Okay. And in monitoring her phone communication with Mr. Ben Michael on that February 18th, 2021 call, did you do anything once you identified that phone number? You said you weren't familiar with the phone number, you were familiar with the voice. How were you familiar with his voice?
He is the next of kin in this case. So our office makes contact with the next of kin to the victims, and we had done that on occasion.
Okay. And after you identified that phone number being associated with him and a call from her account, what did you do next?
I then went in and searched the number, which is another option that we can do. So I located additional phone calls that were made to that number that were not associated with her name. So they were like in the booking area.
Okay. And so when you got a phone number that you could search, you saw that there were additional calls made from the booking area that weren't associated with her PIN?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you listen to those calls?
I did listen to those calls.
And were those calls between Chloe Driver and Benyamin Ben Michael?
Yes, they were.
And the phone calls that you listened to from the booking area, what were the dates of those phone calls?
The very first call to that phone number was on February the 8th of 2021.
Of 2021, okay. And in listening to the phone calls from everything you looked at from that phone number that you identified as being associated with Mr. Ben Michael, was the first phone call you could locate between the two of them February 8th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When you listened to those phone calls from booking, did you develop any concerns?
I did. So she was having a conversation with him, and during that conversation, it appeared that she had been contacting him on another line. During that conversation, she referenced a work phone, which led me to believe that maybe she was using another phone within another area of the jail that was not recorded or monitored.
Okay. And on that February 8th, 2021 call, you indicated already that was the first recorded one you could find. Was it apparent from their communication that they had other communications since she'd been in custody?
It was clear that they had been communicating.
Okay. And what was it that made you believe she may be communicating with him on an unrecorded or unmonitored line?
There were additional calls that she also made on February the 13th of 2021. And so the conversation that she had on the 8th, and then on the other dates, she was talking about being allowed to talk on the phone for an hour or so, and she would talk about how staff would step away, and it appeared that that was when she was able to utilize that phone to call Benyamin Ben Michael.
Okay. And did you alert the jail to your concerns at that point when you discovered that?
I did. I communicated with the sheriff's office on February the 22nd of 2021.
Okay. And what was the result of that?
It's my understanding that the number was blocked, and she was not, and her privileges were taken away.
Okay. Her privilege is to use an unmonitored line?
An unmonitored line.
Okay. And what was your understanding of why she was permitted to use an unmonitored line?
It was my understanding that a doctor requested that she be allowed to contact her mom and her attorney on the unmonitored line, and only those two. And then it was approved by the jail staff that she'd be able to do that.
Okay. And when you informed them that she was utilizing that unmonitored phone time to contact Benyamin Ben Michael, those privileges were taken away?
That is my understanding.
Okay. After that occurred, you indicated that number was blocked. What was that phone number that you first found her being in contact with him on?
May I look at my notes?
Yes, of course.
Okay. The first number was 84.
How many calls did she make to him on that phone number?
There were 33 calls to that number.
Okay. And what was the date range of those calls?
February the 8th of 2021 to February the 22nd of 2021, which I believe the number was blocked, and there were no additional calls to that number at that time.
Okay. So in a 2-week period, she made 33 calls to that number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then after you contacted the jail and they blocked that number, what does it mean to have a number blocked? What is the significance of that in terms of whether it can be called?
So a number's blocked throughout the facility. They're able to go in and block a number from being called anywhere within the facility. So just understand that you probably already know that no one can call into the jail. No one can call in. So the inmates have to call out. That's the only communication as far as calls go.
Okay. And as it relates to the monitored accounts, do they have to put in their PIN that associates that call with them?
They do, as long as they're in populated or not in the booking area.
Okay. And apart from that phone number, were you able to identify a second phone number that Ms. Driver was utilizing to contact Mr. Benyamin?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what was the second number you identified her contacting him on?
It was.
And how many phone calls did she place to him on that phone number?
There were 5 calls.
Okay. And what was the date range of those calls?
That was February the 8th of 2021 to February 23rd of 2021.
Okay. And did you locate any other phone numbers that she was communicating with him on?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what were those?
There were 3 others, 757-392-6370.
As it relates to this case, is that phone number significant or relate to any parties in this case?
It does. That number is Jessica Gavigian's.
Okay. The other wife of Benyamin?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the same phone number that she called 911 from in this
It
case?
is. It's also the same number that she provided to law enforcement.
Okay. And how many phone calls did Ms. Driver place to Ms.
Dropped
Gavigian's
an
phone
end
number
on.
to speak to Mr. Benyamin?
7.
Okay. And what was the date range of those phone calls?
March 30th of 2021 to March 31st of 2021.
Okay. And did you locate any other phone numbers that she had utilized to contact him?
Yes, I did.
All right. And what was that?
20.
And what might the reason be for an inmate to utilize different numbers to reach someone after a number has been blocked?
Well, they're still trying to make contact with that person, so they utilize different numbers to reach out to them.
Do you know how many numbers of Mr. Benyamin in the jail blocked?
I believe there were 2 that I was aware of.
Okay. And as it relates to, what is the last phone number you told us?
2.
Does that phone number come back to anybody associated in this case?
Sarah Stiles.
Right. And is that the phone number she utilized to call 911 in this case?
Yes, it is, as well as provided to law enforcement.
All right. And how many phone calls did Ms. Driver make to Mr. Benyamin on that phone?
54.
Okay.
Jesus.
And what was the date range of those calls?
April the 5th of 2022 to April the 14th of 2022.
Okay. So in a 9-day period, she made 54 calls to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
And were those 54 calls during that 9-day period
I don't think I make
made on
54
her
calls a
account?
year.
No, they were not.
Whose account were they made on?
Brinley Peppers.
Okay. Was that another inmate?
Yes.
And in your experience, why would someone use another inmate's PIN to communicate with someone?
To avoid detection.
When you would go into the system and search calls made by Nicole Driver, would these phone numbers made to Benyamin Ben Michael under Brindley Pepper's account, would those populate?
No, they would not. They would just come up under Brindley Pepper's name.
Okay. And were you able to locate any calls made to Benyamin Ben Michael from any other numbers?
Yes.
To any other numbers?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that number?
47.
Okay. And
You know the
how
dagger
many phone
eye.
calls were made by Ms. Driver to that phone number to Mr. Benyamin Ben Michael?
518.
Jesus.
And what was the date range of those 518 phone calls?
April the 20th of 2022 to February the 5th of 2023.
Okay. So from the first phone call to him being February the 8th of 2021, when was the last phone call to him?
February 5th of 2023.
So about approximately 2 years after Hannah died?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what was the total number of phone calls that she placed to him in that 2-year period?
617.
And in the last phone number, where there were 518 calls that she placed to him, how many different inmates' accounts did she use to accomplish those phone calls?
6 different inmates.
Were any of them her?
No, ma'am.
And you testified that the 617 phone calls that were made by her out to Benyamin was between February 21 and February of 23. Are you aware of the dates in which Ms. Driver was evaluated by mental health experts in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were the dates of her evaluations by those doctors?
Dr. Ballard conducted the evaluations on March the 29th of 2021 and June the 12th of 2021.
Okay.
Dr. Garrett conducted 2 evaluations, the first on August the 11th of 2022 and the second on September the 2nd of 2022.
Okay. And after all of those evaluations by Dr. Garrett and Dr. Ballard, did Ms. Driver continue to reach out to Mr. Benyamin and communicate with him after those evaluations had occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, please. Okay, good.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
All right. I'm going to ask you some questions about the cell right report in total, and then we'll whittle it down to the actual reports you did, okay? And then we'll talk about some of the jail calls. One of the things I want to ask you first and foremost, were you asked as part of this case to do any of these extraction reports with respect to Benyamin Ben Michael's phone?
No.
Okay. So you agree with me that there were 3 cell phone extraction reports done in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you received all 3 of those full extractions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the only one that you were asked to pull search terms or run through was Nicole Driver's, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I did review the other phones, but I did not pull
Generate any
reports.
reports, or you didn't conduct any searches on Mr. Ben Michael's phone about mental health or treatment or anything like that? You did?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay, all right. And the same with Sarah's, correct?
That's correct. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. And part of those reports that is contained in those reports, I mean, you're talking with Chloe's, I think it was what, 84,000 pages?
A little over 84,000.
And
Yes, ma'am.
that report is broken down into sections, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And so you can go through that report and, look at the text messages, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Any Facebook Messenger that's associated with that phone or that's been logged into on that phone, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Any of their search history,
Yes,
their
ma'am.
cell phone call log, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Voicemails, to a degree,
Yes, ma'am.
based on storage of the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And contacts,
Yes.
including like locations of, when they've used the Apple Maps or whatever. All of that is contained in that report, correct?
Yes, ma'am. There are some things that don't import over for various reasons, but yes, ma'am, you're correct.
And it includes stuff that's even been deleted, correct?
Sometimes, yes, ma'am.
So it's never really permanently deleted in some aspects. It shows on the report at least if the item had been deleted, if it pulls it in the report, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, it also includes all the, images that they generated with their camera, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Any images they may have downloaded from the internet, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and videos as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and one of those reports that is generated is what we call the installed applications one. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to show you, and I'm not tendering it as an exhibit because it's already been admitted, pages 4014, 4015, and 4016 of this. May I pitch witness?
Yes.
All right. All right, with respect to each one that I gave you, each notation, can you tell me what applications were installed and what date those were? Or do you want me to highlight it a little bit for you?
Tape a call.
Yes, first one is called
Tape a call.
Okay, and what date was that installed?
Purchase date was December the 1st of 2020.
Okay, and what about number 2?
My second line, calls and texts. That was November the 5th of 2020.
Okay, and then number 3?
Easy voice recorder. That's that's October the 24th of 2020.
Okay, so even if when you purchase those and install them, it shows that it generates a report based in that cell right reader, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And there's lots of apps that are installed and deleted generally when you review all of those, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. The other part about this is
Hello.
that
Hello, Governor.
there were other searches done by Ms. Driver that you were not necessarily asked to search for, correct? She searched for a lot of things.
I did go through the phone and I reviewed it, but there are not reports that I generated for every search that I conducted.
Okay, so you would agree with me that if it was generated as in the overall picture, that it was included was an accurate reflection of what other topics she may have searched for?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so if she searched for things about how to make muffins with vegetables and chickpeas, you have no reason to disagree with that?
That's
Or
right.
baked casserole for a 1-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
So not all of her searches were related to anything related to mental health or the event that we're here for today. Is that a fair assessment?
No, that's correct.
Okay. There's also searches in here about things about parenting, correct?
There is, yes, ma'am.
There's there's one about failing at sleep training for a 1-year-old in September of 2020. Do you recall seeing any of those?
Not that one, but
Okay.
I agree.
Agree if it's
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
report that it
Yes.
is what it is. Okay. Also ones about, conditions of the child, like hives or doing some sort of research to take care of the child.
I do recall that one, yes, ma'am.
Okay. She also did searches in September 2020 related to her baby's specific age and milestones. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
About walking, sleep training, all of those kind of things.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And she also did searches about specific types of food. It seemed that she was trying to figure out what she could feed her child or other things. You would agree with me with respect to that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And again, she did other searches related to the care of her child. You'd agree with me on that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You would also agree that some of that web history and searches included trying to search on how to obtain a birth certificate, correct?
Yes.
All right. And part of that included, and that was around November 25th of 2020. Would you agree with me on that?
I don't recall the date, but that sounds correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And those were searches that were done, you had knowledge about this case from being on it since the beginning, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you knew that there were at least contained within law enforcement's reports that they had sought out information to establish Hannah's birth record, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, and you understand, or you would agree with me that part of this whole scenario is that one of the reasons we had to establish parentage and stuff was because there wasn't a formal birth certificate or anything else issued.
That's correct.
Okay. So around November 25th of 2020, you would agree with me that these searches indicate that she was looking for how to obtain a birth certificate.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. And some of them included deciding a year later to get a baby a birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
And variations of that. She kind of seemed to word it different ways.
Yes,
Do you recall her also looking for how to travel with a baby without that birth certificate?
I do.
And how to obtain, proper documents for her daughter, like a passport and other things around that same time?
Yes, ma'am.
Part of the Cellbrite report also includes you get emails, correct? You can see emails that are sent to the associated email address with that phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And those are all truncated, smaller than what the full message tends to be, but you can see who it came from, the date and time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And, kind of the subject and a little bit of the body, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so you would agree with me that if there are certain emails that I'm about to reference with you that are generated from that particular report, you don't have reason to dispute that
I'm
they
going to
exist,
change my
correct?
That's
posture.
correct.
All right, so, yes.
Yeah. And the back of my knee was killing me.
Oh, yeah, my foot's starting to throb.
All right, so December 8th,
Don't even get
2020,
much
you
longer.
would, this is item number 4 on page 3898 of the Cellbrite report, with a subject line of why did the narcissist pick me from a English at Quora.com. I think you already
Yeah,
talked
15
about Quora,
minutes.
that was part of some of the searches you generated.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you'd have no reason to dispute that that was something that
I,
might have been
um,
in her inbox at that.
Apparently there's an app called My Second Line that you can download, and it must like hide your phone calls or something.
And that's the thing, like they're saying stuff that's been deleted. That's where people don't go and delete things out of their deleted items. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, no, she
Get
bought
your
3
act-
and
Oh.
2 of them were recording phone calls, and the other one was called My Second
Oh, so
Line, which means that I think she's trying to hide phone calls from Benyamin, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I
Look
mean,
into that.
if she had an iPhone and she's on iOS 18.1, she would be able to record phone calls without needing an app.
Oh.
There
I
you
don't know what's
go.
on.
Are you up to the latest version? Are you on the latest version?
I think
You can record phone calls. You can pause
No,
video
I'm not,
too
because I
when
have
you're doing a video.
I have to delete some data before I can download it. I've got too many videos and shit that I've
Fair enough.
downloaded from YouTube that I've got to clear out.
Particular time. That's correct. Do you have any familiarity with Quora and how that works?
I do not.
Okay, so typically it
Gonna look
may be
into
one of
that,
those sites where you ask a question and then get an email response. So if there was something that said like a reply to, you'd have no reason to dispute that. Okay.
Badass.
Same with an email on December
She's very
7th from
forthcoming, Tricia.
samequora.com, specifically directed to her. Subject more related to, I realize that I'm a bad person. What can I do about it? Again, no reason to dispute that.
No, ma'am.
Same with a
course she
subject
does.
line of from December 6th. Do narcissists know that they've lost a loved one? No reason to dispute that.
No, ma'am.
I know it seems tedious, but how we have to do it. On November 28th, 2020, this is page 3916 of the Cellbrite report.
I'm not
Still
kidding.
Pure a paranoid thought that everybody's against me, plotting against me. Same position.
Yes, ma'am.
Takes a bit more than that to offend us, my love.
Emails in there regarding the Christian, the Children of Christ Trust and the SBA applications or anything else like that.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and so there were some
Waiting for a comment about
references
the
on the
forthcoming.
pages 3970, 3971.
It was on before, and he
I mean-
said that she was a solid 10, and that
Yeah, I saw that.
Teresa wrote, well, if you're very forthcoming, and and I wrote, that's why Tanya was late, because she was.
I wonder what that was about, the ring. I saw that. Yeah, I love her ring. And I'm going, what the hell is this all
I
about?
deleted it, and then I went, oh crap, you know, she can see the deleted comments. And then it was, that's why she needed a ciggy. Oh well, we know she knows we love her. Yeah.
3974 regarding the establishment.
Can't waste them blue tablets.
We're applying for that loan, that kind of thing. You recall seeing those though?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They don't just work
probably say the
once.
chat. You can probably see
Oh,
it.
sure.
Scroll back up, it'll say interesting.
One of the other items that you generated with respect to this particular case was a report or you did a search about a bus ticket for a 13-month-old. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that was generated by you putting in that particular search in the Cellbrite reader and establishing a report, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and that search, based on your extraction where you're running of that report. That was a search that was conducted on December the 8th of 2020. Can I help with my search report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I approach?
Oh.
We need to go to Thailand.
Can I show what the mark is?
I was talking to him about that, yeah, because you only get 4 in a packet. Well, you're going to be going to the doctor every 3 weeks for repeats.
2020 as well. She had conducted that search for.
He's 4 in a week.
Yes, ma'am. All right. At this time, I would move to tender that just to some, the defense date, 17.
Any objections, Robert?
No objection. All right. Some of the other reports, I know you are.
See, you're a degen too, Teresia.
Some of the other reports that you entered or talked about already was about the CBD, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And those searches began in September, around September
You
12th.
say he was on
2020,
blood pressure
correct?
pills?
Around the same.
Yeah.
Just be careful with them. And then blue tablets.
Oh, the doctor keeps giving him the script.
Oh.
Same time that the individuals involved in this case seemed to indicate that Ms. Driver had started utilizing CBD, correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And some of those searches included her concern, or it seemed to indicate a concern about breastfeeding while using that substance, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And there was also a search in that particular time frame that she did, specifically asking, like, how long is it in breast milk? Do you recall that? If it's item number 11, no dispute about that.
No dispute, yes, ma'am.
All right, and that.
Oh my gosh.
Which is item number 10 in that state's exhibit, that CBD oil and therapy for mental illness, no dispute about that, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
There's nothing in CBD.
I thought
With regard to the searches that you ran about.
Stevia or indica.
and neck, you didn't
There's no
find any in
THC
those
in it, is
entries or anything about any specific.
there's no THC.
Yeah,
There's no
so what-
THC.
So what's the point? What's the worry about it moving to breast milk? Like,
I have no idea.
yeah, that's I don't know. My brain fried. Tired.
Into her searching on how to kill a baby, correct?
I did not.
Okay, didn't have any idea of who she was looking or talking about at that particular time.
No, ma'am, that's correct.
Did you run any searches?
Why would you need to search?
Regarding suicide or
Yeah.
anything else like that? Do you recall?
How to kill a
I don't
baby?
know, I may have searched the phone, but I did not recall any reports.
There is no way that I would search any of that shit.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
so
she searched
dumb.
how to kill a baby all the time, every day.
Yes, 131.
Well, actually, the things that I have actually searched for this shit, my search history might be a little bit sus.
Actually, since you're a nurse, I've got to ask you a question. You know that you see on, I'm more into TLC, THC, yeah, well, my prescription weed has THC in it. My doctor said, does it work? I said, gets me stoned. Doesn't do much else, but gets me stoned.
It's Nick who's got the prescription stuff as well for pain. And I said, does it actually get rid of your pain, or does it actually just make you not give a fuck about the pain?
Yeah, that's it. That's the
Not give a
one.
fuck about the pain. It never works. Yeah, I'm with you, Tracy. No idea.
So we can walk through this one. Okay.
But I just thought CBD was the reduction of that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just no, that's hash. That's hash.
But you take the active ingredient out of it and you utilize the rest, yeah? Which is CBD.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really that would damage or harm a child.
Well,
you would think.
yeah, but don't we have CBD receptors or something in our body?
Cannabinoid receptors.
Yeah. CBD1 and CB2, like banana one, B1 and B2, you know, the bananas in pajamas. No, bananas in pajamas. That's what, how does that go? I forget how the song goes. They're walking down the stairs. Two boys. I forget. Stairs, that's it. Bananas in pajamas are coming down in pairs.
She won't know where.
You know where's. That's it. Now we got bananas in pajamas.
So
Bananas in pajamas is actually very Australian. You guys need to go look it up.
I was singing high five on the toilet the other day. 1, 2, 3, 4, high five. Era my kids were into.
I went to see High Five with my kids when they were little.
I went to see the Wiggles.
Yeah, we saw the Wiggles too.
Yep. My cousin plays with the Wiggles now.
Oh, the cockroaches. Oh, does he? Yeah,
I
because
went
there's
and
new
saw
ones.
the cockroaches in Roomula live. That's showing my age big time.
Teresa,
Yeah.
I have an
have a
espresso plus a macchiato.
Coffee. And it's 4 a.m. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on sleep deprivation. Oh, I'm going to sleep all day
All
tomorrow.
right, so the first
3:31.
item that search, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, so these reports kind of actually run backwards, meaning it's the closest in time date, right? All the way to
I was just
end
thinking
date of
the
when
banana
started.
splits
So
were better
the
than
first part of this
the
search
bananas
started
in
December-
pajamas.
Technically ended on December 8th, but it's the first part of the report, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when we look at it, we have to kind of look at it like we're reading it backwards.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's go back to.
How would you go boiling the urine?
Oh, you have to have a
Go
separate
to
kettle.
page.
Clean the kettle. What you do in the microwave?
And look at items 655 and 656, and if you wouldn't mind reading the dates and times and what the searches were.
Okay, 655 is November the 11th of 2020. And the search is mental institutions, Knoxville, Tennessee, or Knoxville, TN.
All right, and that was, it looks like done 2 different searches on this, just a little bit of time apart, a couple of seconds maybe.
1 second. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so we are now going to go to page 57.
Oh, here you
Let's
go.
look at 627, 628, and 629, please.
Go on what?
Here we go. Cannabis,
These are made on
CBD.
Okay.
CBD represents 40% of the plant's extract. There is 113 identified cannabinoids in cannabis plants, along with THC. So it must be 114. So they extract it out, and medically, it is an anticonvulsant used to treat forms of epilepsy. It was discovered in 1940. I'm sure somebody discovered weed before that. But anyway, and as of 2022, clinical research on CBD includes studies related to the treatment of anxiety, addiction. That should be substitution, because wouldn't you be substituting one addiction for another? But anyway, psychosis, movement disorders, and pain. But there is insufficient high-quality evidence that CBD is effective for these conditions. CBD is sold as a herbal dietary supplement and promoted with yet unproven claims of particular therapeutic effects. So they're saying it has no, I guess it has.
Here we go. My Second Line. It is an app that you download.
Oh, cool. Let's get it.
It uses your data or Wi-Fi connection to provide your phone with an additional line.
I like this idea.
Yes. You have a secure login for quick account access. You use your username and password for exclusive features. Your second line of communication. Is it? Go back.
Well, there's a few of them.
App Store or Google Play. Choose your own mobile number.
There's a dozen of them here at least. Burner, second phone. I like that one. Burner. We'll call it Burner.
I just put in my
That's the
second
thing.
line app, which is what she said she used. So
Yeah,
she was-
there's I put that
she
in
was
too, but
using
I'm
a
getting lots
second
of
number
responses.
on that mobile phone.
Second phone number, second fake caller ID. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that she could obviously ring her parents or whoever, and he wouldn't be able to see it. You don't download that sort of shit if you've got no issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He must have been that controlling.
Wow.
He's
17th
There's heaps of them.
2020.
Yeah.
And
It's investigative.
The whole world is waiting
Yeah.
on me to heal it.
Useful.
That is for number 627 and 628. And then 629 is the whole world is waiting on me.
Okay, and those were all made within a few minutes of each other based on that timestamp, correct?
Yes, within 3 minutes.
All right, and so if you go further up that page, we will talk about 619, 620, and 621.
We have to, for fuck's sake.
These were also on
Who's
November
that?
17th of 2020, all at 10:34, a few seconds apart. And all 3 entries or searches are the whole world is programming me.
All right.
I want to know who read all 88,000 pages of this crap.
Okay. The page.
To pick these pages out, page 3,971.
No,
Are
they
you
put it
kidding
for three
serious?
words.
And.
Oh, okay.
The searches for November 22nd, 2020 are about what you referenced earlier about the married man and that kind of thing. Her search is related to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right, I'm going to direct your attention to page 45, starting at 482, going down through 490. Now, the way I understand this report, Ms. Jarrett, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that when you are searching, when you plug something in to search it, it can search across multiple applications and that kind of thing. So just because there's multiple entries, it's the device utilizing all its available areas that it can find the information, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so with 482 to 490, can you indicate what on November 23rd of 2020 Ms. Driver's search was?
Home Anchorage, Instagram, Allie, Oma, Gabriella, Cockendall.
Okay, and you know from your work on this case that the
First wife.
Ms. Kuykendall had previously gone by the other name of
you
Oma,
hear,
correct?
With the cross-examination of Jason, they established this Gabriella Kuykendall was his first wife. She had a child to
Yes.
Benyamin.
Yes.
And
she took
He
off.
escaped during the night at the same place where she.
Yeah, the same dude's
Well,
place that they're crashing
yeah.
at. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, so we are going to go to 41. And these are from November 24th of 2020.
Why didn't this have been
You
heard?
agree that the searches included not having enough and having too much at the same time.
Don't they know what private browsing is?
Everyone is the oneness except me. You'd agree that that's what's reflected in your report?
I mean, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, they can't.
Page
they can't
40.
get their bodies either.
Same day,
I know.
November 24th.
And it's like text messages.
About the Truman Show.
Use WhatsApp or Signal or even Messenger. You can set them to disappear.
Yes, ma'am.
You're evil.
Or have them encrypted. You can even set Messenger to encrypt.
Really? Outside of me, that's
Yeah.
just that entry. That page is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's how I communicate with our friend.
November 24th, 2020. The world is against me. There is no escape.
Yes, ma'am.
37.
just
These are the
delete
ones I
all
think
of
you already
them.
talked about, but that's the one that says killing somebody to
What?
save them and the
I
world
just
state.
delete all of our messages.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
Oh, do you?
there's also a notation on that same day for a search about forced to live.
Yes, ma'am.
In case my kids get my phone.
Yeah. Oh, well, those ones. Yes, I do
Um,
delete. Yeah.
34.
But the others, I have
Let's
Signal,
start with,
WhatsApp, Messenger. All of them
371.
are set to disappear
Those
within an
entries are
hour.
9:44 a.m. The whole world is watching and reacting to me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and so
I agree.
then you go up
I agree,
to
Tricia.
same date at 11:28.
I know.
This is number 361. Getting a passport during COVID.
I can't even
You agree
work
with me that
Discord,
that's
let
what
alone
those searches
that.
were
Yes,
on
ma'am.
those days.
Yeah, well, I haven't started on Discord.
Go back to the birth certificate. We don't need to go back through that. Page 29. 303. This is November 27th of 2020. Are police with Satan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Signal's better actually, Teresa.
Punishment for running from sins. I'm sorry, that's number 310.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then there appears to be, we're on page
For
20.
disappearing and encryption.
2020, she did a search about schizophrenia.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, also about what I would assume to be like a warrant.
Warrant, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just misspelled a couple times?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then again, on November 28th of 2020, which we're now on page 27, there was another search on that date around 8:14 p.m. for about schizophrenia.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And again, there's lots of searches in between these indicating like looking for a place to live, stuff related to her baby, that kind of thing, correct?
Yes, multiple addresses.
Okay. Also on page 19, December 2nd, 2020.
Are they set to disappearing, Teresa?
You see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What would she need?
Page 18, number 175, a search on December 2nd, 2020, 3:02 in the afternoon. I see patterns and mistakes of myself, life infinite breaking.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
See, my phone's set to automatic private browsing, so like.
I don't know what even that is.
Good
All right,
girl.
Page 18, we're getting there. December 3rd, 2020.
It means it doesn't save the history. Doesn't save any history at all.
Search about, I'm evil and don't know how to be nice.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then on the next page, on page 12, the next day, December 4th, there's searches about trying to find ways to treat severe diaper rash. Do you see that on page 12? Numbers.
Let them have no nappy time.
Severe rash on body and face. Yes, ma'am. And then cream for severe diaper rash on baby skin.
On those,
Whoops. Oh, I fell on an L.
12/8/2020, it's reference to going into the dark for healing. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that's the end of that, the data on that cell phone with respect to searches, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
What's that one? Going into the dark for healing. I might do that one. What's that about?
Dark therapy, apparently.
Oh, what's that? Oh, yes. You sit in the dark and rock backwards and forwards or something. Yeah.
Jason did it for 432 days.
432 days. That's right. She only did it for the other chick, not Chloe. Did it for 2 weeks.
State rest.
All right. Given that. we're gonna
Check
go
out the
ahead
hairdo on the
and
chick in the orange shirt.
We're going to ask you to come back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Dead out of the 70s, mate. Dead out of the 70s. I didn't even look at
God.
And as if you'd wear an orange shirt in a courthouse, mate. The cops will mistake you for a freaking inmate and want to take you back to jail.
Good spotting. Good spotting. Oh, all right. I want to know who these two are because he's been in there watching and he was pissing himself laughing when Jason was testifying yesterday.
Was he?
Yeah, he was sitting on the other side behind the defense attorneys, and he was cracking up.
Teresa, if you look just below her left arm, yeah. That's what I was saying. Look below her left arm at the elbow.
Leave us your notepads. Don't do any research about this case by any means.
Unless they're man
Don't do any
boobs.
Media reports. Don't talk to anybody or let them talk to you. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. Have a good night.
Forthcoming. She
needs to get her roots done.
That's what. Oh.
Oh, ta-da!
Naughty or naughty?
Naughty or naughty?
Generous. I don't know how generous. Oh, dear. All right.
So are you doing day 4 tomorrow?
No.
Night? No. When are you doing that?
Temporarily, this time tomorrow, we might be doing the update on Ty. Temporarily. So keep your eye.
Okay. Until Steve gets his shit together, yeah.
He's hoping, because he's still waiting on some final information that hasn't come through, and it's one of those
Yeah,
things
yeah, you
that
can't do it without that.
no, but if we say anything, it could
Yeah, it could.
affect.
Yeah,
Yes,
100%. Yeah.
yes. Plus, we don't want to give out wrong information either. So there's still dotting I's and crossing T's, and yes, and
Yes, well, that would be interesting.
Christine is
Oh,
talking.
look, you can see my eyebrows. Look at that.
Christine, is
I've never
supposed
had
to-
eyebrows before.
I've sworn
Oh,
her to
Chris.
say as well. Just in
Right,
case
yeah.
anything said. Yeah.
Yeah, what about the other day? So after you said that thing on, oh, as soon as I went round to your place, what the hell were you talking about? Tell me.
Yes. Yep.
We did have a
Yes.
lovely roast dinner tonight, didn't we?
Yes. Yes. It was nice. Except I broke my tooth on the crackling.
I like it how I could get roast beef with pork crackling.
Yeah. And I lost another tooth on the way home.
Oh, no.
Yep. Got damn caught.
Don't you love it? Yeah.
All right. So I will pick up day 4 on Monday. Which will be the defence's case. Hopefully that should only go for a day, I reckon.
What was that? Was that trial the other day
Was the new one
where
today about the nursing student?
Oh, okay. Now you made me forget what I was going to ask.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. There was one the other day. What trial were we watching the other day? And it was the defence's turn, right? And they said, "No, we rest, mate. It's all good."
Yeah, no defense. Yeah,
They didn't prove jack shit. Who was that?
Wasn't Leilani, was it?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it could have been actually. It was a recent one we were watching, and I thought, hang on, they're doing closing arguments. What happened to the defence? And then I had to rewind it and watch it.
I've seen 2 trials.
I think it was
no defence.
Well, I was listening to
No
Lawyer,
defence.
the other day, and he was saying when he was 19 or something, right, because his dad's a lawyer, he used to go and intern at his dad's firm, work for nothing, do the photocopy and all that kind of shit. So, but he used to get to go to the trials and go run and get some coffee and all the Lawyer, Pete, whatever his name is, Lawyer, yeah. So he used to work for his dad, and
sounds exactly like Steve.
Yeah, something like that. And he was saying him and his dad went out to dinner after like the prosecution had finished, and so they said, "Oh, well, we'll end it all up here today, and we'll go to the defence tomorrow." And they went out to dinner, and like all the other employees are working hard to start the defence case tomorrow, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, right?
You're telling Steve's story.
Oh, was that Steve's story?
Yes,
well, I'm listening to the wrong one then.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it was him. Yeah.
You're filling in the holes for the jury. So I would rest it, and then you've got doubt. You can't
That's it. And that's where I think sometimes to the defence in some of these cases, man, why'd you bring that dude on? That's stupid. I wouldn't have brought that person in because it's just confirming what they're guessing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, it must have been Steve I was listening to. I was listening to Lawyer, about. Oh, no, I was listening to Lawyer, about another one that they're only just having the. What's it called when you. What do we call it? Call it the pre-trial. The what do they call it?
Hearings or status hearings or.
No. Before that, even the grand jury.
Oh, the indictment.
Where they indict people. Yeah, the indictment. Yeah.
I think the standard is way too low for that because it's the preponderance.
Oh, it is here too, but it is preponderance of the evidence is preponderance of the evidence is within civil cases.
It's
because
really,
it's what
really
the
low,
judge
and the prosecution's the only one that gets to testify. So they pretty much all get through.
I mean, I suppose the defence hears what they're going to say.
But if you raised that bar, that would sift the what is it? The chaff from the hay.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you wouldn't be waiting 8 years for a trial or 6 years for a trial.
Yeah.
Or 4 years like some of these people are, yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Hmm.
I'm offing in the direction of. I'm heading in the direction of off.
Oh,
I'm gonna-
okay.
I'm gonna make like a duck and get the flock out of here.
Well, you know what they say. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, guess what? It's a duck.
And you know you're in good company when you're laughing.
Bye, Teresia.
apologise.
See you Monday night. We'll see you Monday
Or tomorrow
night.
night, maybe.
Oh, maybe tomorrow night. Maybe.
Ow.
Look at these eyebrows. Don't they look great?
That's beautiful. Lovely.
Look at that. I've never had eyebrows. That's why I've always had glasses, right? That sit just on my eyebrows. Because I've never had any.
I can only just move mine still, and I haven't had Botox for years. No wrinkles. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, see, I look really good because I told it to touch me up the best it can. See, look how blue my eyes are with this touch-up thing. It's really good.
All right.
Okay.
Say night.
Bye-bye.
Live in that chair. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule and the defense rests.